Chapter 1971. If that was the case, then the three would have to spend a lot of time together. If they really offended each other, then there would be no turning back. Oh. Yushu nodded unwillingly. Right, Faubert left already? Mengyao didn't see Faubert when she walked into the villa. She only saw Grandma's son working in the kitchen. Yes, he left in the afternoon. Report the results to Uncle Chu. If it's possible, we'll set up a company branch here. Linny said. Mengyao nodded and didn't say anything else. She turned to the cauldron in Lin Yi's hand and asked, "What's that?" "I saw Han Jingjing holding something similar in her hand just now." Cauldron. "I'm going to study alchemy. Han Jingjing seems to be interested in it as well," Linny said. Mengyao didn't ask anything else after hearing that it was about alchemy. Grandma's son quickly placed the delicious dishes on the table. Mengyao and Lin Yi finally understood why a scavenger like Grandma's son could be so good at cooking. She used to be Faubert's wife, the Miss of House Sunday. She used to be the daughter of a rich family. Marrying into Faubert's sect meant marrying into a rich family. She must have received professional training on housekeeping. After dinner, Lin Yi went back to his room. Grandma's son cleaned up the dishes and went back to her room as well. Mengyao and Yushu sat on the sofa in the living room watching TV. "Why is Shield Bro here every day? He doesn't even play with us." Yushu hugged her legs as she sat on the sofa. She suddenly felt bored. The cartoons that made her laugh didn't seem that funny anymore. Was this what it felt like to grow up? In the blink of an eye, she was already a university student. Her high school days were still vivid in her mind. "Isn't he always like this?" Mengyao shook her head. "When we were in Songshan, didn't he go to dinner every day? It was just that we were more nervous every day. We'd study and read books after dinner. We didn't have much time to watch TV." "That's true. We're just too free now." Yushu said in boredom. "Yao Yao, we haven't played in Donghai yet. Why don't we go out for a walk?" "Today? It's too late. Let's do it on the weekend after the freshman's gala." Mengyao was a little tired and she didn't want to go out again. Lin Yi obviously went out, so she didn't want to disturb Lin Yi. "All right." Yushu nodded disappointedly. After Lin Yi went back to his room, he read House Sun's Arts to Jiao Yazi and started studying the cauldron he just bought. This kind of cauldron was more than enough for a first-level Huang-class refiner, because there was a limit to the amount of elixirs a Huang-class refiner could concoct, so they didn't need a cauldron that was too good. But the problem was that Lin Yi wasn't even a first-level Huang-class refiner. He could only condense the elixir fire, but he couldn't change the temperature or the intensity of the fire. With a slight change, the elixir fire would be extinguished. Lin Yi practiced a few more times, but the result was the same. He could only put the cauldron aside in disappointment. He was a genius in other people's eyes, but in reality he wasn't much of a genius at all. The only thing he relied on was the art of dragon mastery and the jade space. If it weren't for the art of dragon mastery, Lin Yi would just be a very average talent. He was still a golden class master at 18 years old. Compared to those hidden houses and ancient sects, he was an idiot. So Lin Yi didn't force himself and put the cauldron aside. It was just that Lin Yi was worried about Xiao Xiao. 2 years seemed like a long time, but it had already been half a year. There was still a year and a half left, and if she couldn't learn alchemy by then Xiao Xiao would really become an inheritor. After entering the jade space, Lin Yi prepared to continue. There was a saying, hard work makes up for one's lack of talent. Lin Yi was already too far behind Crystal Candy, so he could only rely on hard work and the unique environment in the jade space to catch up. "Jiao Lao, how is it? Did you see anything from the arts?" Lin Yi asked casually. "I did." Jiao Yazi's answer surprised Lin Yi. He thought that Jiao Yazi wouldn't be able to see anything in such a short time, but he really did? "What?" Lin Yi blinked. "This is an incomplete, simplified, and improved first stage of the art of dragon mastery," Jiao Yazi said. "What?" Lin Yi heard Jiao Yazi's words and his eyes went wide. "What? House Sun's Arts is the art of dragon mastery? Maybe it's from the same source, or maybe it's just a coincidence. This technique should be similar to the first level of the art of dragon mastery, but there are many parts that are incomplete or simplified but improved." Jiao Yazi nodded and said, "The first level of the art of dragon mastery allows one to transfer pure qi to others, repair meridians and heal injuries. All of these are in the Sun family's techniques, but the art of dragon mastery can only be used by men. EF equals fastest text update, book C pavilion. No advertising, however. The formula is suitable for both men and women." "Ah? The improved version of the art of dragon mastery? How could the Sun family have such a thing? Isn't the art of dragon mastery unique?" Lin Yi was shocked after hearing Jiao Yazi's words. Who said it's unique? The art of dragon mastery in ancient times was the mantra of the Yellow Emperor's tribe. However, it evolved into a sect, and with the passage of time, this sect became like Chiyo's chrysanthemum treasured book, gradually declining until it was lost. Jiao Yazi said, the ancestor of House Sun might have been one of these sects, but he was talented and only received the incomplete first level of the art of dragon mastery. After improving it himself, it became the Sun family's technique today. So you're saying that my art of dragon mastery isn't unique? Lin Yi said as realization dawned on him. Of course not, but it should have been lost. Otherwise, the Sun family's technique wouldn't be incomplete and only have the first level of the improved version. Jiao Lao said. I see. Jiao Lao's words surprised Lin Yi. The Sun family actually had this kind of opportunity, and the ancestor of House Sun must have been an amazing person. With just the first level of the incomplete technique, he could improve the Sun family's technique. He could be described as a genius. Chapter 1972. What a waste of time. There are many extraordinary people in this world. You should be able to feel it. Your talent is actually very ordinary, but you are luckier than them. You have the space of the jade pendant and also the art of dragon mastery. Jiao Lao said mercilessly. Of course, someone like Bing Tang who reached the peak of the late phase of the heaven class at the age of 10 might not be a genius. If you entered the jade space 10 years earlier, you would have reached the heaven class already. So, many things are coincidental. This art of dragon mastery was obtained by Uncle Master by accident. That's why it became your destiny. Elder Jiao, why's the way you talk these days? It's almost like you're talking about some kind of Zen? Lin Yi said, looking at Elder Jiao oddly. It's nothing. I'm just reminding you not to be too proud. You have to be down to earth, Jiao Lao said faintly, but you can also practice the Sun family's technique. It's not too difficult. I can practice it? Wouldn't that waste a lot of time? What's the point of practicing it? Lin Yi asked. It's useless. Your first level of the art of dragon mastery can do everything it can do. But this woman can do it too, Jiao Yazi said. Damn, then why would I waste my time? Lin Yi was speechless. He closed his eyes and ignored Jiao Lao. He knew he was fooled. A flight slowly landed at the airport of East Ocean City, and a girl with tan skin and oversized sunglasses walked out of the domestic arrival gate in a low-key manner. Zhang Duopan and Fan Ganhe, who were standing not far away, immediately walked up to her. Ching. EF equals fastest text update, Book C Pavilion no ads. Miss Ching. Zhang Duopan wanted to call Ching Yi, but he was afraid that others would hear him and watch. After all, Ching Yi was a celebrity with a little fame. If she attracted the attention of the media, it would be hard for her to get away. This wheat-skinned girl was Ching Yi. Her skin color looked very healthy and beautiful. This should be the effect of some kind of light, giving people a wild beauty. Compared to Su Shihan's pure white skin, it was even more eye-catching. That was why she instantly gained a lot of popularity after her debut. This was also related to her skin color, which was why she was called the Coffee Girl. Hello, young Master Pan. Ching Yi also saw Zhang Duopan and walked over quickly. She was the spokesperson of Zhang Duopan's father's company. Naturally, she had seen Zhang Duopan several times at the company's parties and had some impression of him. Haha, Miss Ching, I can't thank you enough for taking time out of your busy schedule to help me, Zhang Duopan said as he extended his hand. Ching Yi didn't have the intention to shake hands with him. It could be seen that she wasn't a casual person. So when she saw Zhang Duopan extend his hand, she very naturally passed her luggage to him and smiled. Then I'll have to trouble young Master Pan. Zhang Duopan was slightly stunned. He wanted to shake hands with Ching Yi, but Ching Yi seemed to have misunderstood his meaning. She gave him her luggage as if she had taken the initiative to ask for help with the bag. However, Zhang Duopan naturally couldn't refuse. He only paused for a moment and took Ching Yi's luggage. This is what I should do. However, his heart wasn't without regret. Although he knew that it wasn't very possible between him and Ching Yi, this kind of thing wasn't something a rich young master like him could do. Moreover, it seemed that Ching Yi wasn't the type of female celebrity that relied on this kind of method to make money and become famous. With Su Shihan's halo, she didn't need to do these things at all. She could slowly become famous normally. However, Zhang Duopan still wanted to get closer to Ching Yi. After all, he was also very lecherous. It was just that Ching Yi didn't let him succeed, so he didn't continue. He didn't forget that the main purpose of inviting Ching Yi was to please He Mei and compete with Bai Weitua. If he wanted to chase after Ching Yi, then it would be putting the cart before the horse. In the end, it was very likely that he wouldn't be able to chase after Ching Yi, and he maybe wouldn't be able to catch up. Therefore he wasn't that impulsive. He pulled Cheng-Yi's luggage and left the airport with her. They got on the Land Rover Aurora that was parked in the parking lot. Thank you so much this time. You really helped me out." Zhang Duopan got into the driver's seat and said to Cheng-Yi, who was sitting in the back seat, "It's okay. You're Mr. Zhang's son and I'm the spokesperson of Mr. Zhang. This little bit of help is nothing," Cheng-Yi said generously. However, young Master Pan said before that it might be a bit difficult to get first place in the singing category. "Even if I'm a celebrity, your Donghai Industry University is one of the best universities in the province. There will always be someone stronger than you." "Oh, that's right. Now that you mention this matter, I just remembered something very important." Zhang Duopan's face changed slightly and became very serious. "It's like this. Originally, it wouldn't be a problem for us to get first place, but my opponent, the guy that I told you about, the guy that I want to beat, actually used his connections to invite your senior sister." "My senior sister?" Cheng-Yi froze and didn't know how to react. "It's Su Shirhan," Fan Ganha added. "Ah, they invited Su Shirhan too?" Cheng-Yi froze. "How can my senior sister participate in this kind of small event? As far as I know, she basically doesn't participate in all kinds of events." "Miss Yi, you don't know about this?" Zhang Duopan also froze. "I'm also very confused. I don't know if it's true or not, so I'm asking you for confirmation. But looking at how confident they are, it seems like it's 80% true. Because their classmates said that they already video called Su Shirhan, and Su Shirhan already arranged a program for them in the video. If that's the case, then I'll ask." Cheng-Yi nodded and took out her phone to call Su Shirhan. Because of Lin Yi's matter, Su Shirhan kept her phone with her and didn't leave it with her manager, Wang Jie. When the phone rang, she picked it up immediately. Why are you calling at this time?" Su Shirhan was a bit confused. Why did Cheng-Yi call so late at night? "Senior sister, I just arrived in Donghai City. I heard that you're coming too?" Cheng-Yi asked. "What? You're in Donghai City too?" Su Shirhan was even more confused. "I'm going to Donghai City tomorrow, but why are you in Donghai City too? And how do you know that I'm going too?" Target equals _blank. Chapter 1973. What a coincidence. I was invited by a friend to attend the freshman party of Donghai Industry University, but he said that you were also invited to help another class put on a show. So it's true. Cheng-Yi said in surprise. "Senior sister, I thought you never attend these kinds of events." "Haha, this time it was a good friend who invited me, so I had no choice but to go." Shirhan smiled. "Plus, I've been too busy with work lately, it's good to go out and get some fresh air." "Then aren't you afraid that you might get sick?" Cheng-Yi wanted to say that she had a headache, but then she remembered that there were outsiders in the car. Only the people in the company knew that Shirhan had headaches. She was Shirhan's junior sister, so of course she knew about it, but it was better to be subtle. Book C Pavilion Net. "And I have medicine Miracle Dr. Guan's painkiller, you know," Shirhan said. "No wonder you support them so much." Cheng-Yi nodded. "Oh right, us sisters haven't played together in a long time, let's use this opportunity to go out and have some fun." "That's good, I'm flying tomorrow afternoon, which hotel are you staying at?" "I'll go find you." Book C Pavilion. Su Shirhan agreed without hesitation. She had a good relationship with this junior martial sister. Both of them were pure girls, so Su Shirhan liked to hang out with her. As for the other stars in the company, some were jealous of Shirhan's results, so they were fake when they hung out with her. Some were that type of girls and Shirhan didn't want to be too close with them. "I haven't reached the hotel yet, I'm on the way. How about this, I'll book a double room, we can stay together," Cheng-Yi said. "Okay, but tomorrow I'll go with my bodyguard driver Feng Sanhuang, you can book a room for him too," Shirhan said. "You're bringing a bodyguard driver? That's so inconvenient, there's only two of us girls, how are we going to stay if you bring a man? It'll be troublesome to go shopping," Cheng-Yi complained. "Plus, we don't have a car, so we don't need to bring him, my friend here has a car. Plus, what danger would there be here? We're attending private events." "That works too." Su Shirhan thought about it. Lin Yi had a car, but she wasn't going to bring a car, so Sanhuang wouldn't be of much use. She nodded. "Then I'll go by myself. And I'll wait for you," Cheng-Yi said. After hanging up the phone, Cheng-Yi shrugged and said to Zhang Duopan, "Young Master Pan, senior sister really came this time, so I'm afraid it's impossible for me to help you get first place. So, are we still going to participate in the performance?" Of course. Zhang Duopan had already expected this result. He believed that Su Shirhan would come back tomorrow. He just wanted to confirm it with Cheng Yi. He wasn't too disappointed. Of course, if we can't get first place, it's because we're not as popular as your senior sister. It's not that we don't work hard, but if we don't participate, it's a matter of attitude. You're quite open-minded. I'll help you then. Cheng Yi nodded. The best hotel near the school was Shueshang Hotel. Zhang Duopan booked a double presidential suite for Cheng Yi here. It wasn't as luxurious as a 5-star hotel, but it was the best in this hotel. Luckily, Cheng Yi didn't mind it and checked in right away. Zhang Duopan didn't bother Cheng Yi anymore. He promised her that he would pick her up tomorrow and go to the school to rehearse the show. He then left the hotel. Su Shirhan originally planned to go to East Ocean City with Sister Wang and Feng Sanhuang, but Cheng Yi was there as well. She thought that Cheng Yi was right, and it was meaningless to bring a driver and manager to a private event. Therefore she booked her own ticket online. In the ancient house of Feng Qianhu sat quietly on the bed. Feng Nitian's injuries were very serious. His meridians were all broken and he was like a vegetable right now. He had fainted after the Ice Palace test and hadn't woken up since. House Feng had also stopped supplying Nidian with the best herbs and treasures. This was because in the ancient houses, profit was the most important thing. Nidian wouldn't be able to recover no matter how many treasures he ate. Even if he used the Great Recover Pill and the Meridian Opening Pill, he would only be able to become a normal healthy person, but the damaged meridians wouldn't be able to recover completely. It was impossible for him to continue practicing. Even the alchemists from the Sky Elixir sect couldn't do anything. And so, Feng Qianhu was very angry. Nidian was his only hope. Although he had a son, his son's potential was far from Nitian's. His son only knew how to enjoy life, and he wasn't a good cultivator at all, of course. Although House Feng had given up on Nidian, Feng Qianhu hadn't. On one hand he sent people to find the person who hurt Nidian, and on the other hand he sent people to find a miracle doctor or medicine that could cure Nidian. Of course he knew that the resources he had were limited. If he wanted to find a large amount of medicine and cure Nidian at all costs, he had to climb up to the peak of power in House Feng. He had to become the young master of the house, and only then would he be able to use more resources. Only then would he be able to cure Nidian. Feng Tianlin, it's not your son who's injured, and yet you're making sarcastic remarks in a family meeting. If I don't cause you some trouble, then I'll be letting you off too easily. Feng Qianhu shook his head and said faintly. However, just as he finished speaking, the phone rang. Feng Qianhu picked it up and it was a deep male voice. This man was called Feng Sanku, and he was Feng Qianhu's follower. He was also the spy he sent to the common world to gather information. He was one of the more outstanding third-generation disciples of House Feng, and he was at the peak of the late phase of the mystic class. Back then, the hidden houses had an agreement that Earth-class experts couldn't casually come out into the world. Although it was a rule set by the hidden houses, it was a condition set by the Hidden Houses Arbitration Association. The Grand Elder of the Hidden House was someone who could fight against the ancient sects, and the founder was even more terrifying. Even the ancient sects and ancient houses had to treat him with respect. Although he had already left, the ancient sects still didn't send any Earth-class experts to the common world because of his reputation. But now, it was different since the hidden houses had broken the rule and sent out their Earth-class masters without any punishment or restrictions. The Hidden House Association didn't do anything. Chapter 1974. Therefore, Feng Qianhu started to think about sending an Earth-rank master out as well. Sometimes Feng Qianhu even wondered if the founder of the Hidden House Association was already dead. Otherwise, why hadn't there been any news for so many years? And not only that, even the Grand Elder had disappeared. Feng Qianhu shook his head and decided not to think about it. He picked up the phone and said, "Sanku, what's up?" "Boss, there's news. Su Shirhan went to Donghai City alone to participate in a private event. Feng Sanhuang won't be following, she's alone." Sanku said. "Book Ocean Pavilion Net." "Okay, I got it. Your news is very timely, very good." Feng Qianhu sneered and hung up the phone. He thought to himself, "Second brother, this time I will let you have a taste of losing your own flesh and blood. Hee, if I tell this news to second sister-in-law, will she send someone to kill that girl?" Feng Sanhuang, who was beside Su Shirhan, was the same as Feng Sanku, an excellent third-generation disciple of the ancient Feng house. He was also at the peak of the late phase of the mystic class, but he was the follower of the current heir, Feng Tianlin, and Su Shirhan was Feng Tianlin's illegitimate daughter. With the help of Feng Tianlin, the young master of an ancient noble house, it was understandable that Su Shirhan's path to stardom was smooth sailing. Ancient noble houses were existences that even hidden noble houses didn't dare to offend. But Feng Tianlin had always thought that he was very secretive, and no one knew that Su Shihan was his illegitimate daughter. But what he didn't know was that Feng Tianhu had already investigated this matter thoroughly, and not only did Feng Tianhu know, even Feng Tianlin's wife knew. The reason why Feng Tianlin's wife didn't make a move was because Su Shihan was a girl, and it wouldn't affect her son's succession as the third head of the family. The other reason was because Feng Sanhuang was always by her side. It wasn't impossible for an ancient noble house to send an earth class to the common world, but there was an agreement between the hidden noble houses. She didn't want to go against that agreement just because of Su Shihan. Sanhuang was a disciple of the Feng family, and he knew everyone in the Feng family. At that time, if they sent people to kill Su Shihan but didn't kill Feng Sanhuang, then Feng Sanhuang would definitely report it to Feng Tianlin. Even Feng Tianlin's wife wouldn't dare to go too far. Book C Pavilion, net. But this time it was a good opportunity. Feng Tianhu didn't mind causing some trouble for Feng Tianlin. At the same time, he could also deal a blow to Feng Tianlin so that he wouldn't have time to compete with him for the position of the head of the family. Thinking of this, Feng Tianhu got up and walked towards the second branch. The next morning, Lin Yi came out of the space in the jade pendant, feeling refreshed. He stretched his body. It was another beautiful day. The second stage of the art of dragon mastery was different from the increase in strength. The cultivation of the art of dragon mastery was a normal process of accumulating pure qi. Only through continuous accumulation of pure qi could one reach a higher level. However, there was no barrier like the level of strength. Perhaps it was because the first two stages were easier, but whether the later stages were easier or not, he didn't know. Anyway, every morning when Lin Yi came out of the space in the jade pendant, he could feel his improvement. Unknowingly, the second stage of the art of dragon mastery was about 1/5 of the progress, which was 20%. Lin Yi was quite satisfied with this progress. It hadn't been long and he was already 1/5 of the way. Although the speed wasn't uniform, it would get slower and slower, but it was still much easier than the first stage. Lin Yi washed his face and went to the kitchen. Most of the time, Lin Yi cooked breakfast himself. Although Grandma Sun was there, Lin Yi was used to making breakfast for the Miss and Shu. It was a habit he brought with him from Songshan, and he couldn't change it even if he wanted to. Grandma Sun sometimes saw Lin Yi making breakfast, so she didn't disturb him. When breakfast was ready, the Miss and Shu woke up. Yushu saw that it was Lin Yi who made breakfast today, and she was very happy. Wow, I haven't eaten Shield Bro's food in a long time. It's great that I have something to eat today. Meng Yao gave Yushu a kick. Why was this girl talking so flirtatiously? It's been a long time since I've eaten Shield Bro's food. What do you want to eat? This reminded Meng Yao of Jiangwen's condor cake or something. What's wrong? Yao Yao, don't you like Shield Bro's breakfast? Yushu asked curiously. Why did you kick me? I'm just telling the truth. I like it too. Hurry up and eat. Meng Yao didn't want to explain anymore. She sat down and picked up the chopsticks and started eating. That's weird. Why is Yao Yao acting crazy so early in the morning? Is she on her period? No, it's around the same time as me. We're together. I'm not on my period yet. Yushu mumbled to herself. Shu, go play somewhere else if you're not eating. Meng Yao almost went berserk after hearing Yushu's words. Ugh, I'm eating, Yushu said. There were signs of her period coming, but why was it early? Could it be that Yao Yao sis had sex with Shield Bro secretly, and then took birth control pills? Yushu thought wickedly. After breakfast, Lin Yi and the other two got ready to go to school. They didn't want to call Han Jingjing and Xiao Qiao, but their X5M wasn't back yet, so Lin Yi knocked on the fence of the villa, believing that Han Jingjing could hear them. As expected, Han Jingjing brought Han Xiao Qiao out of the villa, but Han Jingjing's eyes were red as if she didn't sleep well the whole night. This surprised Lin Yi. Jingjing, what's wrong? You didn't sleep well? Meng Yao saw Han Jingjing's face and asked curiously. I was studying alchemy last night and I lost track of time. It's already morning, Han Jingjing said, a little embarrassed. You studied it the whole night? What did you find out? Meng Yao asked, surprised. She didn't think that a girl like Han Jingjing would be so interested in alchemy. I didn't find anything. Han Jingjing felt even more embarrassed when she said that. Meng Yao paused, not knowing what to say. Lin Yi, on the other hand, smiled bitterly and shook his head. It seemed that Han Jingjing was also a dabbler, thinking the same thing whenever she wanted. After driving to school, they separated at the parking lot. Lin Yi and Han Jingjing walked to the biology building. Chapter 1975. Lin Yi bro, Do you know how to cultivate a refinement fire? Han Jingjing asked excitedly as they walked. Book Ocean Pavilion, net. I don't know, Linny said. Looks like I'll have to go buy a training manual, Han Jingjing said. Buy one? Linny was speechless. Right, I'll ask Mr. Bai later, see if he knows where to buy it. Han Jingjing clenched her fist as if she had just thought of a good idea. When he arrived at the classroom, the students in the class were excitedly discussing the program for the freshman party. Bai Weitua, on the other hand, was excitedly rehearsing with a few minor characters according to the music video on his phone. He looked like he was in full swing. Wang Xinyan, on the other hand, sat in her seat, quietly reading her book as if this had nothing to do with her. She was the same as Lin Yi, acting as an extra in the show, so she didn't need to rehearse. All she had to do was sit in her seat and sing a few harmonies. Lin Yi walked over and sat beside Wang Xinyan, while Han Jingjing sat behind them. The only two girls in the class didn't want to be the main character. This made Bai Weitua feel helpless, but there was nothing he could do. One of the girls had an ambiguous relationship with Lin Yi, and the other didn't seem to be interested in Su Shihan. This made Bai Weitua helpless. Book Ocean Pavilion, net. Seeing Lin Yi come in, she could only walk over and beg, Lin bro, can you give me one? Give you what? Lin Yi blinked. A beauty? Bai Weitua said. Beauty? Lin Yi looked at Xinyan, then at Han Jingjing. You're letting them act in the show? Lin Yi is so smart, that's right. Bai Weitua nodded. You two, who wants to act? Lin Yi asked. I'll be like you, a cameo. Xinyan said faintly as she flipped through the textbook in her hand. What about you? Lin Yi turned to look at Han Jingjing. However, Han Jingjing did not answer directly. Instead, she turned to look at Bai Weitua and asked, Do you know alchemy? Quack. Bai Weitua was surprised. He didn't expect Han Jingjing to bring up this topic. He hesitated for a moment, but he still shook his head and said, I won't. Oh, then forget it. I want to study alchemy. I don't have time. Han Jingjing shook her head and rejected Bai Weitua's suggestion. Book C Pavilion, net. Bai Weitua sighed. He wanted to say something, but in the end he didn't. He smiled bitterly at Lin Yi and continued to lead the students to rehearse. But the good thing was that even if there weren't two girls as the main characters, there was still Su Shihan, the female lead. So when these guys surrounded her, it was like stars surrounding the moon. It was a different kind of charm. When it was about 8 o'clock, Boss Bai walked into the classroom. Bai Weitua also stopped rehearsing. After seeing Boss Bai, he quickly said, Professor Bai? In school, Bai Weitua always called Boss Bai Professor Bai or Teacher Bai. You guys are rehearsing? Boss Bai saw the lively scene in the classroom and asked. Yes, Professor Bai. Bai Weitua nodded and said. In that case, we'll cancel the classes in the morning. You guys can continue with your rehearsals. There are no classes today and tomorrow. You guys should strive to get a good ranking for our Faculty of Medicine during the freshmen's evening party tomorrow night. Boss Bai directly made the decision to cancel the class. Our medical major hasn't won an award for several years. It's all because of that little bastard Bai Weikai. His ability is too weak. You're not bad. Oh, actually, it's all Brother Lin's credit. Bai Weitua didn't dare to take all the credit and quickly said. Boss Bai looked at Lin Yi deeply and said to him, Lin Yi, after the freshman party, come find me. Have you thought about what I told you before? Before? Lin Yi was slightly stunned. He thought that Boss Bai was going to teach him some special medical skills, but what exactly was this medical skill? At this moment, Lin Yi's view of Boss Bai was completely different. Before, in Lin Yi's opinion, no matter how powerful Boss Bai was, he was just a character similar to Old Man Lin. However, since Lin Yi saw Yu Coiling Tiger's respect for Boss Bai and his respectful and serious attitude in class, it made Lin Yi feel that Boss Bai was really not ordinary. The Hidden Yu family was a big hidden family in alchemy and medicine. Their children were actually studying here so humbly, so how could Boss Bai be ordinary? After listening to Boss Bai's class, Lin Yi also had a refreshing feeling. Many of Boss Bai's theories were different from Old Man Lin's. Although both of them were right, their directions were different, which broadened Lin Yi's thinking a lot and increased his knowledge a lot. Just the basic knowledge was already like this, so what special medical skills would Boss Bai be talking about? Thinking of this, Lin Yi couldn't help but look forward to it. Thinking back to the beginning, Lin Yi didn't take it seriously, but now it seemed that he had underestimated Boss Bai. Okay, after the freshman party, I'll find a time to go and find you. Lin Yi nodded and said. Hearing Lin Yi agree, Boss Bai chuckled and was very happy in his heart. He thought, kid, weren't you not interested in it at the beginning? Now after listening to a few of my classes, You think it's different, right? Although he didn't know why Boss Bai was looking for Lin Yi, after Yu Coiling Tiger heard it, a look of envy and jealousy flashed across his eyes. He had wanted to visit Boss Bai alone for a long time, but he never had the chance. He didn't expect Boss Bai to take the initiative to invite Lin Yi to find him. This made Yu Coiling Tiger think if he should also visit after the freshman party. Boss Bai didn't invite him, but if he went, he couldn't drive him away, right? After Boss Bai finished speaking, he turned around and left, while Bai Weitua continued to rehearse with the students. Yu Coiling Tiger and his two color-haired subordinates didn't perform or cause trouble, so they sat there as ordinary extras like Lin Yi. Bai Weitua knew that these three guys were not sociable, so he didn't deliberately ask them to do anything. In fact, if it weren't for Boss Bai, Yu Coiling Tiger wouldn't even bother to participate. But in Boss Bai's territory he wanted to learn more knowledge, so he naturally couldn't go too far. If he didn't participate, wouldn't it be disrespecting Boss Bai? Moreover, it wasn't troublesome to act as an extra. All he had to do was sit there and hum a few times to harmonize. It was quite simple. The morning passed quickly and it was time for lunch break. Chapter 1976. Su Shirhan's flight was at 1 p.m., and Lin Yi was going to the airport to pick her up. Lin Yi told Xinyan about it and sent a message to Miss and Shu before driving to the airport. Book Ocean Pavilion, Nat. It was around 11 p.m., and it would be about time for Lin Yi to reach the airport. Of course, other than Lin Yi's car, there was also a Land Rover Aurora. It was driven by Zhang Duopan, and he brought Cheng Yi to the airport. At the arrival gate, Lin Yi accidentally saw Zhang Duopan and a girl with sunglasses. Zhang Duopan also saw Lin Yi, and he was even more certain that Su Shirhan was invited by Lin Yi. Because in room 444, only Lin Yi had a car. Although it looked low-key, only he had the ability to do so. It seemed like it was true. Since they saw each other and they had the same goal, Zhang Duopan naturally put on a fake smile and walked over. Isn't this Lin Yi? What's wrong coming to the airport to pick someone up? Lin Yi was confused when he saw Zhang Duopan, and he looked at the girl beside him. Lin Yi immediately guessed something. Was this girl the coffee girl, Cheng Yi? But Lin Yi didn't follow celebrities and he didn't even know the famous Su Shirhan. How could he know a small celebrity who just debuted? But since she was Su Shirhan's junior, it was normal for her to pick Su Shirhan up. Aren't you asking the obvious? Lin Yi said faintly. Humph, what's so great about inviting Su Shirhan? Even if he won, it's not by Weitua's strength. He might not admit it and the bet won't count. Zhang Duopan's face changed. He couldn't beat Su Shirhan in the freshman party, and so Zhang Duopan started to push the blame away. Really? I don't know who broke the rules first and invited a celebrity. If you didn't invite them, we naturally wouldn't have invited them either. Lin Yi looked at Zhang Duopan with a smile that wasn't a smile. This kid really didn't keep his word. Now he was going back on his words. This? Zhang Duopan was rendered speechless by Lin Yi, but what Lin Yi said was right. Indeed, he invited the celebrity first, so he couldn't say anything. He could only snort and say, since relying on others doesn't count, then everyone doesn't count. It's useless for you to say this to me. You can talk to Himeiwa. Lin Yi said indifferently. Book C Pavilion, Nat. Whether or not Zhang Duopan went back on his word had nothing to do with Lin Yi. If he wanted to shamelessly go back on his word, then Lin Yi couldn't do anything about it. At most he could let Bai Weitua talk to Himeiwa. Don't think that you invited Su Shirhan. Let me tell you, Su Shirhan will leave with Cheng Yi later. I think you came here for nothing. Zhang Duopan snorted. Lin Yi replied. Seeing that Lin Yi didn't care about him, Zhang Duopan was even angrier. He felt like he was playing the lute to a cow. He snorted and walked towards Cheng Yi, ignoring Lin Yi. After a while, Su Shirhan's flight information was broadcasted. The flight had already landed and there would probably be passengers coming out in a while. Sure enough, not long after, a group of people walked out of the exit. In this group, there was a person wearing a black trench coat, a black cap, oversized sunglasses and an oversized scarf. If it wasn't for the figure, it was hard to tell whether it was a man or a woman. This person was obviously Su Shirhan. She was much more disguised than Cheng Yi, but Su Shirhan was much more famous than Cheng Yi, so her armor was much tighter. Cheng Yi was more familiar with Su Shirhan. She immediately recognized Su Shirhan and waved at her. Han sis. Yi. Shirhan also saw Cheng Yi and nodded to her with a smile. Cheng Yi didn't call Su Shirhan by her name. She only called her sister Han, so no one in the airport would think too much about it. Su Shihan also saw Lin Yi not far away. She was a bit surprised that Lin Yi came to pick her up. She thought that Lin Yi wouldn't come because this guy never came to pick her up. Whether she came to endorse products or to support Lin Yi's products, she came by herself. So this time she didn't think that Lin Yi would come to pick her up. Lin Yi? You actually came? Su Shihan was very surprised. And you didn't bring a driver this time, nor did you bring a manager. Of course I came to pick you up. Lin Yi nodded. How rare. Then let's go, I'm staying at Shueshang Hotel. He already booked a room for me. Su Shihan said. Su Shihan's words obviously meant that she was going to leave with Lin Yi. This made Zhang Duopan feel a bit embarrassed. He just swore to Lin Yi that he came for nothing, but from the looks of it, Su Shihan seemed to be very friendly towards Lin Yi. What was the relationship between these two? It didn't seem to be a simple hire. Senior sister, take our car later? Let's go to the hotel directly. We don't need to trouble your friend, right? Cheng Yi saw that Zhang Duopan was unhappy, and she didn't mind helping him. This was just a small matter to her. No need, I'll take Lin Yi's car. Su Shihan smiled and said, see you at the hotel later. That's fine too. Cheng Yi was also slightly dazed. Su Shihan actually rejected? What was the relationship between her and Lin Yi? Normally in the company when attending events, Su Shihan would often ride in the same car as her. Even if they weren't in the same car, Su Shihan would gladly agree if she invited her, but today Su Shihan rejected. Seeing that Cheng Yi was rejected, Zhang Duopan's face darkened even more. It seemed that picking her up at the airport was a bit unnecessary. Out of the airport, the two cars went on the highway one after another. Zhang Duopan was unhappy and didn't wait for Lin Yi. He stepped on the gas and the car flew out, speeding all the way back to the hotel. What is the relationship between that Lin Yi and Su Shihan? Why does he look like a good person? He doesn't even give you face? Zhang Duopan was very unhappy and complained. Maybe they're very good friends? Cheng Yi wasn't angry and instead sent a text. The signal here doesn't seem to be very good. There might be a shield near the airport? Zhang Duopan said, you want to use a phone? You can use mine, I have a signal. Thanks, no need. I'll just send a text and tell the people in the company that I've picked up senior sister. Cheng Yi waved her hand and said. Chapter 1977. Looks like Su Shihan really wanted to help them. Now I don't even have the slightest bit of confidence. This is so annoying. Zhang Duopan said. Book C Pavilion Net. There's nothing we can do about it. Sister Han is a big shot. It's good enough that we got second prize. Cheng Yi didn't care. Lin Yi didn't care about Zhang Duopan's speed at all. He didn't even chase after him. Instead, he drove at a constant speed on the airport highway. Under normal circumstances, Lin Yi wouldn't break the rules if it wasn't something important. Thank you for coming to our classes program despite your busy schedule. Lin Yi said to Su Shihan. Now I know that your appearance fee isn't low. Cheng Yi has connections and she asked for 200,000. You're asking for more than her, right? That's right. Normally, I wouldn't go even if they paid me 1 or 2 million. Su Shihan said. I'm here because of you. It seems like my face is quite big. Lin Yi said. That's right. Do you think I'd go if someone asked me? Not to mention not paying, I wouldn't go even if they paid. Su Shihan said. Lin Yi smiled, but his face suddenly changed. The smile on his face turned serious as he said to Shihan, danger. Don't move. Su Shihan was startled. She didn't know what Lin Yi was talking about. But at the same time, 2 black Audi A6 dashed through the iron fence in the middle of the road. The iron fence was not far from Lin Yi's car, and the 2 A6 quickly stopped in front of Lin Yi's car. This sudden change made Su Shihan scream. Lin Yi seemed to be very calm and stopped the car. Behind Lin Yi, 2 Audi A6 drove over, sandwiching Lin Yi's car in the middle. Lin Yi couldn't move forward or backward. The reason why Lin Yi knew there was danger was because of the warning signal from the Jade. So Lin Yi knew in advance that danger was coming. Don't move in the car. Lin Yi looked at one of the 2 Audi A6 and frowned. The other 3 cars didn't matter to him, but the person in this car surprised Lin Yi. A mystic late phase peak. Although to Lin Yi this was nothing. He was already an Earth class master. Mystic class masters were like ants in his eyes. It was easy to stomp them to death. But this wasn't so simple. Who was the one who sent this mystic class late phase peak? Lin Yi didn't think that it was sent by his enemies. Unless they were stupid, they wouldn't send a mystic late phase peak master to die. Last time there were 3 Earth class masters and one of them was a late phase Earth class master, but Lin Yi burned them to ashes. Would they dare to send a mystic? That wasn't realistic. Book C Pavilion Net. But if it wasn't sent by them, then who sent it? Could it be a robbery? But robbery? He hadn't heard of a robbery on the highway at the airport. And Lin Yi's car was very low-key. It was a Grand Cherokee. It didn't blink. Lin Yi clearly saw a Rolls-Royce drive by, but he didn't see them rob it. And if it was just a simple robbery, wouldn't it be too wasteful to send a mystic late-phase peak master? But all these guesses were pointless. After Lin Yi told Su Shirhan, he got out of the car. The mystic late-phase peak master didn't move. Instead, 3 men in black suits got out of the other 3 cars. They pointed their guns at Lin Yi. "Kid, tell the people in the car to get out. Otherwise, don't blame us for shooting you." People in the car? Lin Yi was startled. Were these people trying to kidnap Su Shirhan? It didn't seem like they were targeting him. Otherwise, no matter how powerful an enemy was, they wouldn't send 3 normal people with guns to aim at an Earth-class master, unless they were crazy. "Shut up and do it." A man in black scolded. "You're here for Su Shirhan? Who sent you? Tell me and I won't kill you." Lin Yi looked at the man in black and said indifferently, "Kid, you want to kill us?" The man in black thought that he had misheard and immediately laughed loudly. "You mean you can kill us? Is that so?" "Yes, since you missed the chance, there's no need to say any more." Lin Yi's hand shook and a silver needle shot out, sinking into the man's chest. The man didn't even make a sound before falling to the ground. Lin Yi didn't even need to use pure chi to kill the man in black because he was just a normal person. At most, he was a cultivator who had just stepped into the door of martial arts. He wasn't even a golden class master. The other 2 people sucked in a breath of cold air. They didn't think that this person would do it without any hesitation. The scariest thing was that they didn't see it clearly. They didn't know how Lin Yi killed the man in black. You, who are you?" One of the 2 men in black asked. "It's your turn." "Who sent you?" Lin Yi asked. "Who are you? Why are you here?" The man in black asked nervously. "You've also lost your value." Lin Yi shook his wrist and the second man in black fell to the ground. You. The third man in black was stunned. He still did not know how his 2 companions died, so he subconsciously stuttered a little. After saying the word "you" a few times, he hurriedly looked at the Audi A6 beside him and said, "Brother Sanley, there's something wrong, please save me quickly." Actually, there was no need for the third man to speak. The man in black in the Audi A6 couldn't sit still anymore. He opened the door and got out of the car. It was a man wearing a black mask. The 3 people before didn't have their faces covered. Only a pair of cold eyes could be seen. He looked at Lin Yi coldly and said condescendingly, "It seems that he values Miss Su quite a bit. He also sent a driver here. But your strength isn't enough. Although you have flying needles, you haven't cultivated pure chi yet. You can't use the natural chi around you. It seems that you're not a cultivator." "Who sent you here?" "My patience is limited," Lin Yi said indifferently. Although Lin Yi wasn't afraid of trouble, it was obvious that this was the airport highway. There were a lot of cars coming and going. Lin Yi was afraid that Su Shirhan's identity would be exposed. So Lin Yi wanted to end this quickly. Chapter 1978. This palm was very casual. In his eyes, this palm could easily kill Lin Yi, but he didn't expect that Lin Yi also pushed out a palm as if he wanted to take this attack head-on. Moreover, Lin Yi's expression was like a smile that wasn't a smile, as if he wasn't afraid of this palm at all. Although the man in black was a bit confused, he didn't think too much about it. He naturally knew that this was a main road. Although he was from an ancient noble house and wasn't afraid of ordinary people, some things couldn't be overdone. After all, there was an ancient agreement. Bang! The 2 palms collided and a muffled sound was heard. This sound made the black-clothed man relax, because he couldn't feel much power from Lin Yi at all. It seemed that Lin Yi was just a normal person. He had thought too much. However, in the next moment, the black-clothed man was stunned. Because from Lin Yi's palm, a huge wave of chi suddenly came, instantly entering his meridians. In an instant, he felt as if a wave of chi that could topple mountains and overturn the seas surged over, breaking all the meridians in the black-clothed man's body. "You're an early-stage Earth class." The man in black widened his eyes in disbelief. He didn't think that there would be an Earth class besides Su Shirhan. Could it be that Feng Tianlin really valued Su Shirhan that much? Thinking up to here, Feng Sanlei suddenly felt a little sad. He was the subordinate of Feng Tianlin's wife. The reason he came here was to secretly kill Su Shirhan. This time he got the news from the 3rd son of Feng family, Feng Tianhu. He thought that without Feng Sanhuang, Feng Sanlei could easily kill Su Shihan, but Feng Sanlei smiled bitterly in his heart. He wanted to spread the news that there was a master beside Su Shihan, but he knew that it was just wishful thinking. In front of an Earth-class master, running away was just wishful thinking. Plus, if he was caught by Lin Yi and if he were to be interrogated, then the situation would be unbearable. Thinking up to here, Feng Sanlei suddenly had a sudden burst of energy. He used all the strength in his body and slapped towards the remaining man in black, easily killing him. Then he waved his hand and slapped towards his own face. Bang! The masked man's head was smashed by himself. His brain was broken beyond recognition, and his entire head had exploded. It was very disgusting. Lin Yi was secretly on guard. He was afraid that he would harm Su Shihan at the last moment, but he didn't think that this guy would kill his own people and then commit suicide. This kind of strange situation caught Lin Yi off guard. Originally Lin Yi didn't kill him. Instead, he injured him to bring him back and interrogate him. He wanted to know who sent this guy. But this masked man was very decisive. He killed the only survivor of his own group and then committed suicide. It was a very cruel way to commit suicide. Looking at the mask of the masked man, and then looking at his broken head, Lin Yi vaguely guessed his purpose. He masked his face, which meant that he didn't want anyone to see or recognize him. He committed suicide in this way to destroy his own head so that no one would be able to recognize him. This person was very loyal. As for the other small fries who weren't practitioners, they probably weren't important people. He wouldn't be able to find anything from their faces. Thinking of this, Lin Yi couldn't help but sigh. It seemed that he was a bit careless. He only thought about Su Shihan's safety. He didn't think that the masked man would commit suicide. But it was already like this. Lin Yi couldn't do anything. Although it happened very fast, almost 2 to 3 minutes, Lin Yi saw the cars coming from behind and behind. He didn't dare to delay anymore. He ran to the 2 Audi A6 in front of the car and slapped them to the side of the road. Then he quickly jumped into the Grand Cherokee and stepped on the accelerator. Su Shihan's face was very pale. Although she was in the car, she heard everything that happened outside. She also knew that these 4 people came for her. But who sent these 4 people? What was their purpose? Although Su Shihan had experienced similar kidnappings before, it wasn't as thrilling as this. The criminals' plans were all killed in the cradle by the police, and the people she faced weren't as vicious as this. In the end, they chose to commit suicide in such a cruel way. You're not scared, right? Lin Yi, on the other hand, had been through too many dangerous situations. What happened just now wasn't dangerous at all in his eyes. He'd even been stopped by the blood-clothed Yellow Spring sect before, and he'd even been beaten by 3 Earth-class Book C Pavilion if equals. Therefore, what happened just now seemed too ordinary. It's okay. Su Shihan patted her chest. Her chest rose and fell, but it betrayed her true thoughts. She was indeed very nervous. Who did you offend recently? Lin Yi asked. These people are obviously coming for you. I offended anyone? I don't think so. Su Shihan shook her head. If you want to talk about a sinner, it would be Dr. Kang's medical company. Last time I attended your product launch. Other than that, I didn't offend anyone. Kang family impossible. Lin Yi denied this possibility. If they want to find someone, they should be looking for me. Plus, they wouldn't send such a weak person. Then I really can't think of who I offended. Su Shihan seriously thought about it. Forget it, don't think about it. Give me that Feng Sanhuang's number. Lin Yi said. Feng Sanhuang? Why do you want his number? Su Shihan was dazed. He's your driver. He follows you everywhere you go. I'll ask him to help me think. Lin Yi didn't say much to Su Shihan. Intuition told Lin Yi that Feng Sanhuang should be the person protecting Su Shihan. The masked man also said that he didn't think that there would be someone protecting Su Shihan here. In other words, Su Shihan also had someone protecting her over there. The only possibility was Feng Sanhuang. So Lin Yi planned to tell this to Feng Sanhuang. He wanted him to investigate and see if Su Shihan had offended anyone. Oh, okay. Su Shihan didn't think much about it. She nodded and told Lin Yi Feng Sanhuang's number. Lin Yi wrote down the number. He didn't call in front of Su Shihan. Instead, he called Yang Huaijuan. Captain Eagle, are you looking for me? Huaijuan picked up the phone. Chapter 1979. Yup, Junzi just now on the airport highway 4 Audi cars intercepted me. 2 of them were killed by me and the other 2 committed suicide. Bring some men to control these corpses first. I'm afraid they'll destroy the evidence. Lin Yi said worriedly. Since the masked man could commit suicide in such a way, Linny was afraid that there would be people coming to take the bodies away. What? Someone blocked you? Huaijun paused. What's going on? Which force is it? Noble House or? If it's someone from Noble House, it's best to let the investigation department do it? I don't know yet, but they're Mystic Late Phase Peak, Linny said. Then I'll tell Captain Feng Tianlong there's a practitioner, they should be the ones to deal with it, Huaijun said. Alright, Linny nodded. Shirhan on the other hand was confused. She didn't know what a Mystic Late Phase Peak was, what was a practitioner. She'd never come into contact with these things before. She'd heard Mingyao and Yushu talking about Xiao Xiao before and Tang Yun. Shirhan sighed as she thought of this girl. He drove Shirhan to the hotel and no one blocked them on the way. It seemed like there were only 4 cars blocking them, but Linny didn't let his guard down. He parked the car below the hotel, preparing to send Shirhan up personally. He was the one who invited Shirhan, so Linny had the responsibility to protect her. Whether or not these people came for Shirhan, Linny had to protect her. If something happened, even Linny wouldn't be able to forgive himself. Right, how are you so strong? Shirhan was still in a state of fear, and now that she calmed down, she finally remembered. How was Linny so strong? Not only did he kill 2 of them silently, but the other 2 were killed by his accomplice, and the other one committed suicide? It's all right, Linny said faintly. When we get to the room, it's best not to mention these things. And don't worry, your classmate is here, I won't say anything. Su Shirhan nodded. Linny wanted to tell Qingyi not to talk about it, but after thinking about it, he didn't say anything. After all, she was Su Shirhan's junior apprentice sister. It was their own business. The 2 walked into the hotel lobby. Su Shirhan took out her phone and called Qingyi. Senior sister? Have you arrived? Qingyi was surprised to hear Su Shirhan's voice. The radio just said there was a series of car accidents on the highway. Didn't you guys get stuck in traffic? We didn't. Su Shirhan hesitated but didn't say anything. After all, Zhang Duopan was Lin Yi's classmate. That's good. You scared me to death. I was still scared at the time. How good would it be if you took our car? Su Shirhan said. Haha, it's fine. Shirhan smiled. Which room are you in? I'll go up now. I'm in room 1108. You guys can take the elevator up. Qingyi said. Lin Yi and Su Shirhan got in the elevator and went all the way to Qingyi's room. What surprised Lin Yi was that Zhang Duopan wasn't in room 1108. Instead, he got a room in room 1105. Obviously, Qingyi didn't want him in her room. If she wanted to talk, she would go to his room 1105. But Zhang Duopan was rich, so he didn't mind. You go in, I won't go. I'll wait for you outside. Lin Yi saw this and didn't follow. Okay. Su Shirhan also knew Qingyi's temper. Her room was usually only used by a few close sisters in the company and her manager. There was no one else. Lin Yi glanced at Zhang Duopan in the opposite room. The kid was on the phone. He didn't care about him. He turned and walked to the safe passage at the end of the corridor and called Feng Sanhuang. Hello, who are you looking for? Feng Sanhuang looked at the unfamiliar number and asked politely. Feng Sanhuang? Lin Yi asked. It's me, you are? Feng Sanhuang was secretly on guard. This person knew his name, but he still didn't know his identity. This person was definitely someone he wasn't familiar with, and it was impossible that Feng Sanhuang didn't have the phone number of someone he was familiar with, and it was impossible that he couldn't recognize his voice. Su Shirhan's bodyguard? Lin Yi continued to ask. Who are you? Feng Sanhuang was even more shocked. No one knew that he was Su Shirhan's bodyguard. Even Su Shirhan herself didn't know about it. So when Lin Yi revealed his identity, he panicked a little. It seems like my guess was right, Lin Yi said. I'm Lin Yi. Earlier at the airport there was a Mystic Class Late Phase Peak who attacked us. I crippled him. I wanted to bring him back for interrogation, but he committed suicide. The way he did it was very disgusting. As he spoke, Lin Yi told Feng Sanhuang what happened. Feng Sanhuang was relieved when he heard that it was Lin Yi. Lin Yi saw through his strength and knew that he was Su Shirhan's bodyguard. But what shocked him was that there was someone who intercepted Su Shirhan. And in this period of time, Lin Yi seemed to have gotten even stronger? He could easily cripple a Mystic Class Late Phase Peak? The last time he saw him, he was weaker than him. He wasn't even at the peak of Mystic Class Late Phase Peak. But now, I didn't expect this. Brother Lin, thank you so much. Feng Sanhuang said gratefully. My flight tonight is to Donghai City. Please take care of Miss Su's safety. Please. When Feng Sanhuang knew that Su Shirhan was coming to East Ocean City on his own, he booked a plane ticket with her. However, he was still one flight behind Su Shirhan. Su Shirhan's flight was at noon, and he was going to take the night flight. He didn't expect that something would happen in such a short time. He was sent by Feng Tianlin to protect Su Shirhan. If Su Book Ocean Pavilion soonest update if something happened to Shirhan, even if Feng Sanhuang died, he wouldn't be able to escape the blame. So he called Lin Yi's brother Lin. Of course, this was also because of Lin Yi's increase in strength. To be able to cripple a Mystic Class Late Phase peak meant that Lin Yi was at least at the peak of Mystic Class Late Phase peak. You're coming too? That's great. You can go investigate these people's background. Lin Yi said. As for Su Shirhan's safety, you don't need to worry. With me by her side, nothing will happen. Alright, thanks for the trouble. Feng Sanhuang said respectfully again. Target equals _blank. Chapter 1980. Then I'll hang up first. Book C Pavilion. Lin Yi listened to Feng Sanhuang's pleading tone. He had no doubt that he was the one protecting Su Shirhan in the dark, but which force did he belong to? Why was he protecting Su Shirhan? What was Su Shirhan's identity? Of course, this had nothing to do with Lin Yi, and Lin Yi didn't want to know at the moment. He and Su Shirhan could only be considered as good friends at the moment. It wasn't convenient for him to ask. Not long after Lin Yi hung up, Su Shirhan also came out. She came out with Cheng Yi. Lin Yi, let's go to school to rehearse, don't waste time. Yi is going too. Su Shirhan waved to Lin Yi. Okay. Lin Yi walked over quickly. Zhang Duopan also came out of his room at this time. He didn't expect to see Fan Ganhe in his room. He just came. Lin Yi didn't see him before. Zhang Duopan was a bit annoyed when he saw Lin Yi, but Fan Ganhe was even more annoyed. He liked Wang Xinyan. Naturally, he wouldn't give Lin Yi any face. From Fan Ganhe's point of view, Lin Yi was the typical type of bastard who stood in the toilet but didn't shit. He always said that he had nothing to do with Wang Xinyan, but when they went out they were still very close. Isn't this Lin Yi? Why didn't you bring Wang Xinyan? Could it be that you want to be alone with the superstar and don't want anyone else? Fan Ganhe saw Lin Yi and wanted to say something sarcastic. Oh. Lin Yi responded. He didn't even look at him. Fuck. Fan Ganhe was infuriated. This was blatant disregard. Quarrel with people. He wasn't afraid of people scolding him back. He was afraid that people wouldn't even care about him, and his efforts would be in vain. He wanted to say something, but Lin Yi and Su Shirhan were already walking towards the elevator. Fan Ganhe gritted his teeth, but it was useless. Whatever, Ganhe, there will be plenty of opportunities to deal with this kid. I plan to invite Himeiwe and her roommates to Tiger Park this weekend. We'll think of a way to humiliate them. Zhang Duopan sneered. He had no chance of winning at the freshman party, but he didn't plan to give up on Himeiwe, so he had to proceed to the next step. Okay. Listen to Brother Zhang. When the time comes, think of a way to teach them a lesson. Fan Ganhe nodded. In the teaching building of the biology department, in the classroom of the medicine department, the students were rehearsing the actions in the music video in full swing. And he walked in with Su Shirhan. Shirhan, Su, Shirhan, Zhou, Shan, up. Shirhan, seeing how serious everyone was, Su Shirhan was a little surprised. She originally thought that it would be very difficult to bring a group of non-professional students to recreate the scene of the music video, but now it seemed that a lot of people were already doing it well. Huh. Bai Weitua also felt someone coming, but he didn't pay attention. He raised his head and saw a fully armed girl next to Lin Yi. So, Su Shirhan? He paused for a moment but immediately guessed what was going on. Hello everyone. Shirhan smiled and waved at Bai Weitua when she saw that someone recognized her. Hearing this heavenly voice, all the boys who were rehearsing stopped what they were doing. When they saw the person at the door, they couldn't help but widen their eyes. Someone cheered, Su Shirhan is here. Ah, Su Shirhan is here, it's really Su Shirhan. Su Shirhan, I love you so much, Lin Yi sweated. He quickly locked the classroom door. If the other students found out, they wouldn't need to rehearse anymore. They'd all come to see the celebrity. Everyone quiet down. You guys are so loud. The students from the other classes would probably hear it. At that time, Fang Qiu, at that time, I'm afraid we won't be able to rehearse anymore. Shirhan smiled and made a shushing gesture. Needless to say, the power of a celebrity was not just for show. Just one gesture and the noisy classroom quieted down. Su Shirhan, hello, I'm the class leader of the medical course Bai Weitua. I'm also Brother Lin's follower. Bai Weitua ran in front of Shirhan and introduced himself. Hello. Since you're the class leader, Tell me, how's your rehearsal going? In order to save time, I'll see your progress first and then decide on the next step, okay? Shirhan heard that Bai Weitua was Lin Yi's follower, so her attitude towards him was very gentle, which made Bai Weitua feel very flattered. Shirhan didn't have the air of a celebrity at all. This surprised all the students. They didn't expect Lin Yi to be so powerful. Not only did he invite Shirhan, but she was also very polite and kind. Even Right Coiling Tiger was very jealous. He cursed in his heart. What kind of ability did this Lin Yi have to make Shirhan look at him in a different light? Okay, I'll tell you now. Bai Weitua quickly nodded. Lin Yi didn't listen to Bai Weitua's introduction anymore. He went back to his seat. The rehearsal had nothing to do with him anymore. Lin Yi didn't care. You don't follow celebrities? Lin Yi looked at Wang Xinyan in surprise. He realized that every time he saw her, she was always so quiet. Quiet like a pool of water without any emotion. From the moment Lin Yi entered the classroom, Wang Xinyan had been flipping through the textbook in front of her. When Lin Yi sat down, she only raised her head and smiled at Lin Yi. Then she continued reading. I like her songs, most of the songs in my MP3 are her songs, but idols. Xinyan shook her head, a little regretful. I want to, but I don't have that much time to waste. I want to enjoy my university life as much as I can with the limited time I have. Limited time? Lin Yi was startled. He remembered the engagement between her and Zhao Long. He opened his mouth to say something but closed it again. What identity should he use to make Wang Xinyan reject the engagement with House Kong? There are some things that you can't fight against. When you can't fight against it, you can only accept your fate. Wang Xinyan's expression seemed calm, but Lin Yi knew that not many people would be calm in this kind of situation. But Lin Yi didn't know what to say. He could only take it one step at a time. If he could destroy House Kong as soon as possible, Wang Xinyan would be able to relax a lot. What surprised Lin Yi was that Han Jingjing was also lying on the table, studying something. She was writing and drawing on the notebook in front of her. There were a lot of numbers and formulas. It made Lin Yi dizzy. To be continued. If you like this work, I welcome you to come to Starting Point and vote for me. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 1981. This girl can't be an alien, right? How can her thoughts be so weird? Lin Yi shook his head and didn't bother with her. Lin Yi was afraid that if he asked a random question, it would attract more questions. Wouldn't that be asking for trouble? Zhang Duopan was from the economics department. At this moment, his class was also busy rehearsing. But Zhang Duopan wasn't in a good mood. In comparison, his classmates were quite happy. Although they couldn't perform with a top star like Su Shirhan, Qing Yi was still a rising star. Even if they couldn't get first place, getting second place was already quite an honor. Many classes wanted to get into the top 10 but couldn't. Because they didn't have a bet with Zhang Duopan, they were more relaxed. On the other hand, Zhang Duopan was depressed. He originally wanted to play a supporting role, but he didn't want to anymore. Going up was equivalent to embarrassing himself. It was better to be an inconspicuous cameo. Fan Ganhe didn't participate in his class's program. He was Zhang Duopan's follower, so naturally he would follow Zhang Duopan. Zhang bro, how about tonight I find a gunny sack and put it on Bai Weidua's head? We'll beat him until he can't take care of himself. That way he won't go on stage and the program won't be his anymore. Doesn't that mean we'll win? Fan Ganhe suggested. What do you mean by can't take care of himself? Are you stupid? If he gets beaten up, the first suspects will be us. When the school investigates, we won't be able to escape punishment. We have to think before we do things. Zhang Duopan wasn't stupid. He directly rejected Fan Ganhe's suggestion. Bai Weidua is a freshman. He just came to the school. If there's a conflict, it's with us. Do you think everyone else is stupid? Fan Ganhe really couldn't think of any other way to win the competition. Don't think about the competition. A loss is a loss. Zhang Duopan had already accepted it and didn't want to think about it anymore. An afternoon of rehearsal passed just like that, and at night, Qing Yi asked Su Shirhan to go shopping. It was the first time for both of them to come to East Ocean City, and they hadn't shopped in East Ocean City yet. Su Shirhan didn't want to go, after all, something terrible had just happened. However, she didn't want to tell Qing Yi, so she hesitated and decided to ask Lin Yi. When Lin Yi received Su Shirhan's call, he had just sent Han Jingjing and Han Xiaoqiao back and entered the villa with Miss and Shu. Miss Su, what's the matter? Lin Yi saw that it was Su Shirhan's call and picked it up. How many times have I told you, call me Xiao Han or Su Shirhan? Isn't calling me Miss Su too distant? Su Shihan didn't like the way Lin Yi addressed her. Ah, okay Xiaohan, Lin Yi said. Cheng Yi wants to go shopping with me but that thing happened on the highway, I'm a bit worried. Su Shihan said, I don't really want to go but I don't want her to be a wet blanket. Oh then I'll go with you guys. Wait for 10 minutes, Feng Sanhuang will be here. He'll rent a business car and we'll go together, Lin Yi said. Feng brother is coming too? Su Shihan was startled. She didn't know why Lin Yi called Feng Sanhuang, but Lin Yi took Feng Sanhuang's phone number before, so it must be Lin Yi who called Feng Sanhuang. And we'll go together later. Lin Yi couldn't reject Su Shihan's request. After all, he was the one who invited Su Shihan. Not only was he the host, but he also didn't spend a single cent of his appearance fee, so it was a bit unreasonable if he didn't act as a temporary bodyguard. And okay, we'll wait for you at the hotel, Su Shihan said. Go shopping? Go shopping? I want to go too. Yushu eavesdropped on Lin Yi's phone call. Is it with Xiaohan sis? Can we go? The miss was also a bit tempted. Forget it this time, let's talk about it next time, I'll go with you guys alone. It was the first time Lin Yi rejected the miss and Shu's request. He briefly told them about what happened on the highway earlier in the afternoon. That's scary? Mengyao and Yushu's faces changed. So I'm afraid that there will be danger at night. If you guys go, I'm afraid that I won't be able to protect you. Lin Yi said, these people are obviously coming for Su Shihan, and then we won't go. Lin Yi, be careful. Mengyao naturally wouldn't pester him anymore. Xiaohan sis is your guest, don't let her get hurt. Ancient House Feng. A middle-aged woman with a gloomy face sat in front of Feng Tianhu. Although this woman was old, she was still attractive. There was an indescribable noble aura around her. Her identity was obviously not ordinary, but her face was very ugly at the moment. Tianhu Sanlei is dead. You know, he is the most powerful master in my hands. The strength I have is limited. Your second brother is always on guard against me. I have no way to control the other masters, but the only master is actually dead. The middle-aged woman said bitterly. Second sister-in-law, that little girl has a master in Donghai City. I really didn't expect this. Feng Tianhu smiled bitterly. What do we do now? If your second brother comes after me, what should I do? The middle-aged woman obviously didn't have much of an idea. She was the kind of person who was impulsive and reckless. This didn't match her noble appearance at all, and now Sanhuang has gone to Donghai City. In reality, she didn't have any ulterior motives. She was a rich young mistress. Marrying into House Feng was just a marriage alliance. Actually, you don't have to worry. Once Su Shihan is dead, there will be no evidence. I think second brother won't pursue it anymore, Feng Tianhu said faintly. Oh, so you already have a backup plan? The middle-aged woman asked. That's right. I've already sent Feng Erbiang. Even if Sanhuang goes, it'll be a waste. It'll only take a few minutes to kill him, Feng Tianhu said indifferently. Feng Erbiang? Earth-class mid-phase? You can use a second-generation disciple of House Feng? The middle-aged woman widened her eyes in disbelief. Who doesn't have a trump card? Not only me, second brother probably has one too. Feng Tianhu sighed. If it wasn't to help you this time, I wouldn't want to reveal my trump card so early. You have to keep it a secret for me. Chapter 1982. That's not a problem. The middle-aged woman didn't even think about it. In her eyes, fighting in the family wasn't important. Killing Feng Tianlin's mistress and little bastard was the most important thing. One had to say that Feng Tianlin's failure was marrying such a brainless and unruly woman. Although he had the support of her family, she didn't help him wholeheartedly and kept creating trouble for him. For someone like Feng Tianlin, who was the heir of an ancient house, who didn't have multiple wives and concubines. But his first love's flesh and blood had to be sneaky, and he couldn't even see her. This made Feng Tianlin very frustrated. He was a little envious of his big brother's choice back then. He didn't care about anything and just ran away from the marriage and married a woman from the common world, cutting off all ties with the ancient House Feng. He, on the other hand, didn't want to disappoint his father, and for his big brother's safety, he married this woman who was supposed to be his big brother's fiancée. What Feng Tianlin didn't expect was that this woman was really unruly, willful, and jealous. He didn't know where she got the news that he had a mistress and a daughter outside, but she actually brought people to kill him. His wife was nowhere to be found, and his daughter was only found many years later after much effort. Feng Tianlin hated his wife to the core. Although she was his wife, he didn't have any feelings for her. He still loved his first love, Su Shihan's mother. Feng Tianlin knew that his wife had gone to kill him, but he didn't do anything. Instead, he chose to endure it because he knew that this was most likely caused by his third brother, Feng Tianhu. Feng Tianhu had always coveted the position of the young master. Otherwise, it would be impossible for such detailed information to be known by only a few close brothers. However, as Feng Tianhu's son, Feng Nidian, gradually revealed his talent, the old man placed more and more importance on Feng Tianhu. Feng Tianhu's power in House Feng was also growing, and this made Feng Tianlin even more cautious. He could only continue to endure until the day he truly controlled House Feng. At that time he wouldn't be afraid of anyone anymore. Considering the many years of marriage and the face of their son, Feng Tianlin wouldn't do anything to his wife, but he definitely wouldn't force a smile to serve her every day like now. The first thing Feng Tianlin had to do after he became the head of the family was to bring his daughter back and announce to the public that she was his daughter. Moreover, he would find his older brother and bring him back to the Feng family. Although his older brother had been kicked out of the family by his father, a new ruler brought his own ministers. His father was the head of the family and now he, Feng Tianlin, was the head of the family. Feng Tianlin's relationship with his older brother was the best. Although they didn't share the same mother, they were closer than real brothers. This was also one of the important reasons why Feng Tianlin married his current wife in place of his older brother. If he didn't marry her, his father would blame his eldest brother even more and might even kill him. And this was what Feng Tianhu hoped for. He hoped that this marriage would be broken, and that his father would kill his older brother while his second brother would plead for mercy. This way both of them would lose trust and both of them would be finished. His third brother would naturally take over. So, for his older brother, in order to prevent his third brother's plan from succeeding, Feng Tianlin gritted his teeth and persevered for so many years. However, Feng Tianhu, because of his son, Feng Nidian, seemed to be on the same level as him. This made Feng Tianlin's life more and more difficult. But not long ago Feng Tianlin received a great news. Feng Tianhu's son, Feng Tianhu, was acting tough during the Ice Palace's test. He used his title of Strongest Below Earth class and was beaten into a cripple by an even stronger Strongest Below Earth class. Feng Tianlin knew that his chance had come again. Although to House Feng, Feng Nitian's death wasn't a good thing, to Feng Tianlin, it was a good thing. However, Feng Tianlin didn't know that his wife was working with Feng Tianhu to deal with Su Shihan. So, when Feng Tianlin received Feng Sanhuang's call, he was shocked. What did you say? Someone was on the airport highway trying to deal with Shihan? Feng Tianlin panicked. Yes, master, but Miss Su's friend took care of it. It's a mystic late phase peak, master. Sanhuang told Feng Tianlin everything that had happened. What? Mystic late phase peak? Feng Tianlin was even more shocked. This was the first time that Su Shihan was attacked by such a powerful cultivator. Although there were kidnappings and robberies in the past, those were only done by some small gangs. This time it was obviously not that simple. Plus, these men in black chose to commit suicide in such a cruel way after they failed. They obviously didn't want to expose their identity. Who sent them? Could it be his wife? Or his third brother? Thinking of this, Feng Tianlin's heart skipped a beat. Su Shihan's identity was a secret. Although he found Su Shihan, he never acknowledged her. How did his wife and brother know about it? Do you know who did it? Feng Tianlin asked. I'm not sure yet. I just arrived at Donghai City. I heard that the bodies were taken away by the Supernatural Investigation Bureau. I need to find someone I know. I don't know if they can see it. Feng Sanhuang said. Although the ancient noble houses had absolute power, the Supernatural Investigation Bureau might not give them face. It was a complicated organization. If there's no other way, forget it. Feng Tianlin wanted to say something but shook his head. In this situation he couldn't contact that person before he had a firm foothold. If he did, it would be against the family rules. Feng Tianhu would be looking for trouble. Okay, master, I'll try my best, Feng Sanhuang said. When Lin Yi arrived at the hotel, Feng Sanhuang was there as well. He was driving a Buick GL8. Seeing Lin Yi, Feng Sanhuang jumped out. Brother Lin, thank you for today. Feng Sanhuang actually bowed to Lin Yi this time. Lin Yi paused. He felt that Sanhuang's words had exceeded a normal bodyguard's. Even if he was Su Shihan's bodyguard, he didn't need to go through all this formalities. Mr. Feng, Lil Han came to my place and it's my duty to protect her. There's no need to thank me, but I see that you seem to care a lot about Su Shihan? You like her? Chapter 1983. Book Ocean Pavilion Chapter 1995. Being followed. Ahem. San Huang's heart skipped a beat when he heard the first half of the sentence, but the second half made him choke. I was actually asked by someone to protect Miss Su, but it's a secret kind of protection that Miss Su doesn't know about. In Miss Su's eyes, I'm just a normal chauffeur and bodyguard, not a practitioner, so please keep it a secret, Brother Lin. San Huang's heart skipped a beat when he heard the second half. Oh, I get it, you're the celebrity's bodyguard. Lin Yi wasn't surprised at all after hearing San Huang's words, because he was the school beauty's bodyguard. It was just that the nature of his job was different from San Huang's. Lin Yi was in the light and San Huang was in the dark. You can say that. San Huang saw that Lin Yi wasn't surprised at all, and felt that Lin Yi wasn't a normal person. Brother Lin, if I may be so bold, your current strength, Earth class. Lin Yi didn't hide it, but he didn't say whether it was early, mid, or late stage Earth class. After all, San Huang and Lin Yi weren't that close and Lin Yi didn't want to say too much. San Huang took a deep breath. The last time he saw Lin Yi, he was still a peak mid-mystic class and now he was an Earth class? Thinking back to what Lin Yi had said to him, don't think that just because you're a peak late mystic class, you can talk big in front of me. Could it be that Lin Yi was an Earth class back then, but he suppressed his strength to peak mid-mystic class and not an Earth class? If that was the case, then why did he shamelessly threaten Lin Yi? San Huang blushed just thinking about it. No wonder Lin Yi wasn't afraid at all and directly threatened him back then. It turned out that he was suppressing his strength. Of course, San Huang didn't think that Lin Yi could jump from mystic mid-phase peak to Earth class in just a few months. That speed of leveling up was like riding a rocket. It would be amazing if he could break through a small class in just a few months. Brother Lin, I've offended you before. Miss Su's safety will be in your hands later. San Huang's attitude towards Lin Yi was even more respectful. Lin Yi waved his hand and didn't say anything else. Instead, he pointed in the direction of the hotel and said, "They're out. Let's not talk about this anymore." Alright. Lin Yi's words were exactly what San Huang wanted. San Huang didn't want to discuss this in front of Su Shihan. Xiaohan. Lin Yi greeted Su Shihan. As for Cheng Yi, Lin Yi only nodded to her. But Cheng Yi didn't seem to mind. She didn't seem to like talking to Lin Yi. She pulled Su Shihan and got in the MPV. Lin Yi sat in the front passenger seat, and San Huang naturally became the driver. Although San Huang wasn't familiar with the terrain of Donghai City, he was Su Shihan's professional driver. He was very good at finding the way. He only needed to look at the GPS to know how to get there. He started the car and went straight to the busiest commercial street in Donghai City. On the way, Su Shihan and Cheng Yi were discussing something. But Lin Yi wasn't interested in listening. It was mostly about how to make up, how to be beautiful, and how to have a good body. After a few turns, San Huang arrived at the commercial street and parked the car in the parking lot nearby. I didn't expect Donghai City's commercial street to be so busy this late. Su Shihan looked at the street outside the car window and said in surprise. Donghai City is a provincial city. Naturally, there are a lot of shops that are open 24 hours. Lin Yi said. Thank you, Lin Yi. It's so late but you came out to shop with us. Sorry for disturbing your rest. Su Shihan said gratefully. Cheng Yi frowned. It was a great honor for a normal person to be able to come out with a big star. Zhang Duopan wanted to come along but she rejected him. Why was Su Shihan begging Lin Yi? It's okay. Lin Yi and San Huang walked behind Su Shihan and Cheng Yi, as if they were their bodyguards. Su Shihan probably didn't have many opportunities to go shopping. Everything she saw was new. Lin Yi couldn't help but sigh. Although celebrities seemed to be famous, they didn't have much time. Every day they just had to work and work. Cheng Yi, on the other hand, had a lot of knowledge about brands and shops. She was the one who brought Su Shihan to shop. San Huang, on the other hand, was very nervous. He was always on guard. His eyes kept looking around as if he was afraid of missing something. Lin Yi didn't know whether to laugh or cry at his seriousness. I say, San Huang, you don't have to be like this, right? Relax a bit. Otherwise, I'm afraid that Xiaohan will be fine, but you'll be so nervous. Brother Lin, I have to kill the danger in the cradle. San Huang smiled bitterly. I'm different from you. I have to ensure Miss Su's safety. Especially after what happened today. It's okay. I'll watch for you. I'll tell you if there's any danger. Lin Yi said. Although Lin Yi said that, San Huang saw that Lin Yi didn't seem to be on guard at all times. So he didn't relax at all. From his point of view, Lin Yi was an outsider. No matter what, he wouldn't be very careful. San Huang was different. Lin Yi looked at Feng Sanhuang and shrugged. He didn't say anything. Along the way the four of them went to most of the shops on the street. Shirhan seemed to be especially addicted to shopping, including the shops that sold mobile cases, small accessories. She would go to all of them, even buying one or two small things before leaving reluctantly. This situation made Lin Yi sigh. Miss Su's work is actually very busy. Book Ocean Pavilion. She's a very hard-working person. She hasn't followed any unspoken rules. Her current results are all from her own efforts. Although I've helped her along the way, it's also related to her own purity. If she wants to abandon herself to vice, I can't do anything about it. Feng Sanhuang saw Lin Yi sigh. He knew what Lin Yi was thinking. He explained. Plus, she used to have headaches that could act up at any time. That's why she didn't have the chance to go shopping. Luckily you helped her. Lin Yi nodded. He didn't answer. He also felt that something was wrong. Lin Yi had been laughing at Sanhuang earlier, telling him not to be so careful, but now he felt as if he was being followed and watched. It was a feeling that came from the sixth sense he had when he was doing missions in the primeval forest. Book C Pavilion, target equals _ blank. Chapter 1984. Book C Pavilion. Because the jade didn't give any warning, it meant that either he was wrong, or the enemy was too far away, out of the jade's detection range. But Lin Yi was leaning towards the first possibility, because Lin Yi wouldn't be wrong about this feeling. Lin Yi took a deep breath and started to be on high alert. But for the rest of the journey, this feeling was very faint, and the jade didn't give any warning. This feeling made Lin Yi very doubtful. Was there someone following him, or did they intend to harm him? After that, Lin Yi still couldn't find the person following him. Either this person was an absolute master and could follow him from a distance, or he was too vigilant because of what happened during the day. Huh. There's beef noodles here too? Cheng Yi pointed at the signboard of an alley next to the pedestrian street. What you like to eat this? Su Shirhan asked curiously. Yeah, I've liked to eat it since I was young. It's been a long time since I've had it. Cheng Yi said, No, I must go eat it today. Alright, I forgot, your hometown seems to have this kind of noodles. Su Shirhan nodded. Since we're here, let's go eat a bowl? Okay. Cheng Yi nodded and said excitedly. But the alley looks dirty and there's no one around. Can we eat this? Su Shirhan walked 2 steps and looked at the dark alley full of trash. She was a little hesitant. It's okay, I used to eat it when I was young. Cheng Yi said. Okay, then let's go try. Su Shirhan hesitated and decided to accompany her. Seeing the two of them going into the alley, Lin Yi instinctively felt that something was wrong, but he didn't know how to stop them. While he was hesitating, Su Shirhan and Cheng Yi had already walked into the alley. Lin Yi had no choice but to follow with Feng Sanhuang. Feng Sanhuang's expression became more cautious and vigilant. He wanted to dissuade her. Su Shirhan, Book C Pavilion. Why did they have to come to this kind of place? There were clearly a lot of snacks there, but they just had to eat noodles. However, this idea was suggested by Cheng Yi, and Feng Sanhuang wasn't her driver or bodyguard, so he couldn't say anything. The alleyway was very dark, there was no one and no light. There was a kind of eerie feeling. Su Shirhan was a little nervous. After all, this kind of eerie and dark scene reminded her of some bad memories. Su Shirhan subconsciously frowned and used both hands to press on her temples. Sister Han, what's wrong? Cheng Yi saw Su Shirhan's nervous face and quickly asked, Is your headache acting up again? Shirhan nodded and quickly took out a bottle of Miracle Dr. Guan painkiller from her bag and poured it into the bottle. Medium. Cheng Yi rubbed Su Shirhan's temples and said with concern, Han sis, why don't we stop eating? Let's go back. Since you're here, let's go eat, don't spoil the mood. Su Shirhan forced a smile. It's fine, don't worry about me. But Cheng Yi looked at Su Shirhan's frowning face, still a little worried. However, as the two were arguing, Lin Yi sneered, Since you're here, then come out, what's the point of hiding? Is this the behavior of an Earth-class mid-phase master? What? There's an enemy? Feng Sanhuang heard Lin Yi's words and jumped. Su Shirhan and Cheng Yi were shocked as well. 2 men in black came out from the darkness in front of the alleyway, but their faces were still covered with black masks, so people couldn't see their faces clearly. You're not simple. You can actually sense my presence and you can even say my strength. Friend, which path are you on? I advise you not to get involved in this mess. It's none of your business here. One of the men in black was obviously afraid of Lin Yi, which was why he said these words. Of course, he was planning to ambush Lin Yi, but Lin Yi was able to see through his whereabouts. He was quite angry at Lin Yi, but he had other important things to do today, and he couldn't see through Lin Yi's strength, so he didn't want to cause more trouble. Moreover, he naturally wouldn't think that Lin Yi was tricking him to come out. After all, if Lin Yi could say his strength, it meant that he had already been discovered. In actuality, Lin Yi really didn't find any traces of this Earth-class mid-phase black-clothed man. It was through the jade that he found the movements of the other black-clothed man, a mystic late-phase peak master. Through this person, Lin Yi caught a faint trace of energy beside him, and that was how he found the black-clothed man. Why would I stand here if it's none of my business? Lin Yi looked at the man in black like he was looking at an idiot. If it's none of my business, why would I find your traces and say your strength? Do you think I have nothing better to do? You go deal with Su Shihan, I'll take care of this. The Earth-class man's face turned cold, and he ordered the mystic next to him. Yes. The black-clothed man nodded and flew towards Shihan, throwing a punch at her. Obviously he wanted to kill Shihan with one punch. Lin Yi had been observing the reactions of these two, and when he saw the movements of the black-clothed man, he sneered, and his side also started to move. He used a bit of force in his legs and flew towards the mystic next to Su Shihan. In order to confuse the mystic in front of him, Lin Yi had been suppressing his strength, making it seem like he was only a mystic-class mid-phase peak. The purpose of this was to kill the mystic-class late-phase peak in one hit, and then he could focus on dealing with the Earth-class mid-phase master. Lin Yi didn't have the slightest confidence in winning against someone 2 levels higher than him, and he was a bit nervous, so he had to kill all the uncertain factors in the cradle. Although Lin Yi wasn't afraid of this mystic late-phase peak, with him here, if Feng Sanhuang couldn't stop him and allowed him to attack Su Shihan, then Lin Yi would have to send a clone over to save her. He didn't have the confidence to win in the first place, and if that happened, then there would be even less of a chance. Although Lin Yi had fought many Earth-class masters before, Boss Yu had just entered the Earth class and hadn't learned any martial arts yet, so Lin Yi was able to intimidate him when he was still a mystic, and the follower of Right Coiling Tiger Lin Yi was having trouble dealing with him. If it wasn't for the Chi Bomb, Lin Yi wouldn't have been able to deal with him so easily. Book Ocean Pavilion, target equals _blank. Chapter 1985. Book C Pavilion Chapter 1997. Who will be the winner? As for the other 3 Earth-class warriors, Lin Yi used his fire poison chi to burn them to ashes. But this move could only be used once, it was impossible to use it a second time. The only thing Lin Yi could rely on now was the first 3 moves of the Frenzy Fist. He didn't know if it would be enough to fight against this Earth-class mid-phase man. The mystic late-phase peak looked at Lin Yi coldly. When he saw that Lin Yi was only a mystic mid-phase peak master, a trace of disdain appeared on his face. Since you're so eager to die, I'll fulfill your wish. As he said that, his target changed from Su Shihan to Lin Yi. He raised his palms slightly as if waiting for Lin Yi to attack. It wasn't that he was arrogant, but in his eyes, Lin Yi was only a mystic mid-phase peak master, and he was a mystic late-phase peak master. The two of them were 2 whole levels apart. If he couldn't kill Lin Yi like that, then it would be strange. So, the mystic class man in black looked at Lin Yi with pity in his eyes. In his eyes, Lin Yi was already a dead man. However, Lin Yi didn't seem to notice the danger at all. He still rushed towards the mystic. Not good. The Earth-class man's heart skipped a beat. He yelled at the mystic, "Careful. Don't fight him head-on." The Earth-class man felt that Lin Yi was a mystic mid-phase peak master, so he didn't put him in his eyes at first. But he suddenly thought that something wasn't right. If Lin Yi could tell that he was an Earth-class mid-phase master, then how could he not see that the mystic was a mystic late-phase peak master? If that was the case, then Lin Yi, a mystic mid-phase peak master, going to fight a mystic late-phase master head-on? Wasn't there something wrong with his head? Either that or he was courting death. More importantly, how did Feng Sanlei die? Feng Sanhuang hadn't arrived at East Ocean City at that time. Even if he had arrived at East Ocean City, it wouldn't have been easy to kill Feng Sanlei. They were all disciples of the Feng family. What Feng Sanhuang knew, Feng Sanlei also knew. In this kind of situation, it was the most difficult to determine the winner and loser. Even if they couldn't win, staying alive was not a problem. And if Feng Sanlei could fall here, then Su Shihan must have a master beside her. However, since that expert wasn't Feng Sanhuang, the only one left was Lin Yi. Su Shihan and Qing Yi couldn't be that powerful. So when he realized that something was wrong, the man in black immediately warned the man in black. However, he was too slow. The man in black still needed some time to react after hearing his words. At this time Lin Yi's palm was already pressed on the man's palm. Too late. Linny shouted coldly. With a loud bang, the man in black's body flew out like an arrow. After flying in the air for some distance, he crashed into the wall of the alley not far away. You're not Mystic mid-phase peak. You're Earth early phase? This was the last thing the man in black said as he slid down the wall. Then he spat out a mouthful of blood, his vision went black and he died. Despicable, how dare you trick me? The man in black's eyes were filled with anger. He wanted to burn Linny to death. He didn't think that Linny would use a method to hide his strength and kill one of his people first. Trick me? Linny patted the dust off his hands and curled his lips. He's just too arrogant. Can't you see that? You. The man in black was speechless. He couldn't refute Linny. Indeed, if Linny were to trick him, it was because the man in black was too arrogant. If he had been more careful, he wouldn't have ended up like this. With that thought, the man in black took a deep breath and looked at Linny with hatred. He pointed at Linny and said, I don't care who you are. If you want to get involved in this mess, then don't leave. You and your family will pay the price of blood for your meddling. What did you say? Linny frowned. A hint of hatred flashed across his eyes. This person dared to use his family to threaten him. This made Linny's heart surge with rage. No matter what, he had to make this person stay here. Not for anything else but for Mingyao Yushu and all his friends. Haha, when you're dead I'll investigate your identity. I'll visit your friends and family one by one. The man in black smiled sinisterly. This is the consequence of killing my people. If that's the case, then it's either you die or I die. I won't rest until I die. Linny looked at the man in black coldly, but his heart was filled with caution. This man was too evil. If Linny didn't make him stay here, then what awaited him would be unbearable revenge. I won't rest until I die? You think you're worthy? The man in black said as his chi surged out of his body. His Earth-class mid-phase strength was on full display. We don't know who's going to die yet. It's too early for you to say that. Linny took a deep breath and started channeling his practitioner's arts, showing off his Earth-class early phase strength. But early phase was still early phase, it wasn't the peak. Compared to the man in black, there was still a difference of 2 levels. The Earth-class black-clothed man looked at Lin Yi and Feng San Huang, deep in thought. Try Huang, take Xiaohan and the others and hide behind. Lin Yi could guess what the man in black was thinking. He moved his feet slightly and quietly stood in front of the man's attack. Just now Lin Yi had ambushed one of the mystic black-clothed men, and he must have incurred the wrath of this Earth-class black-clothed man. So, he probably had the idea of getting rid of Feng San Huang first. This way, Su Shirhan would have no one to protect her, and he could take advantage of the chaos to get rid of Su Shirhan. After that, the mission would be completed. Book Ocean Pavilion. It was no longer a problem for him to fight to the death. But since Lin Yi saw through his thoughts, naturally he wouldn't let it happen. That's fine. Feng San Huang didn't want to be a deserter, but he knew that the difference in strength between him and his opponent was too big. Staying here was equivalent to being a hindrance to Lin Yi, and Lin Yi had to split his attention to take care of him and Su Shirhan. There was no way he could win. So Feng San Huang only hesitated for a moment before quickly pulling Su Shirhan and Cheng Yi to a place far behind Lin Yi. The man in black was a bit annoyed that Lin Yi saw through his thoughts. Book Ocean Pavilion, target equals _blank. Chapter 1986. Book C Pavilion. But from his point of view, it wasn't a big deal. If he couldn't sneak attack, then so be it. If he could take care of Lin Yi first, then wouldn't Feng San Huang and Su Shirhan be in the bag? The earth-ranked black-robed man took a step forward and waved his left hand in the air, forming a layer of green mist around his left arm. The mist exuded a dense chill. It looked like he was cultivating some kind of water-type mental cultivation method, and it was paired with a snow-type martial skill. Water element, snow element. Looking at the man in black, Lin Yi's eyes flashed with a trace of confusion. In his memory, he seemed to know someone who also practiced this water element technique, and it was related to the snow element technique. But as for who it was, Lin Yi couldn't remember at all. At the moment when Lin Yi was lost, the man in black had already activated his technique. Lin Yi's eyes blurred for a second, and then he saw the man in black rushing towards him. The green mist on his left fist was even clearer, and there were even specks of starlight on it. It should be the result of the crystallization of the mist. Ice Snow Thorn. With a roar from the man in black, the green mist on his left fist suddenly broke out of his body and turned into a light green sharp blade. With an incomparably fast speed, it stabbed towards Lin Yi's chest. Lin Yi was shocked and quickly returned to reality. If it wasn't for the jade's warning signal that suddenly became extremely strong, causing Lin Yi to subconsciously dodge, that light green ice blade would definitely hit Lin Yi's chest. Even if it didn't pierce through Lin Yi's heart, Lin Yi would still be heavily injured. It was also because of Lin Yi's subconscious dodge that the ice blade was dodged, but it still touched Lin Yi's arm and cut through Lin Yi's clothes, leaving a long wound on Lin Yi's arm. Ah! Su Shihan screamed. She didn't expect this person to be so powerful. He could shoot out ice blades with his bare hands. To her, this was unimaginable. It was like a stunt from a TV show. Miss Su, please don't disturb Brother Lin. At this moment, it's taboo to be distracted. Feng Sanhuang frowned as he reminded Lin Yi in a low voice. Even though he was not too optimistic about Lin Yi's chances, his opponent was too strong, and his martial technique was so ferocious. Feng Sanhuang thought that even if it was an expert of the same level, the chances of victory would not be too high. Not to mention Lin Yi, who was 2 levels lower than him. Ah, okay. Shihan nodded seriously. What do we do? How can we help him? We can only wait. Feng Sanhuang wanted to tell them to run if the situation wasn't right, but he couldn't bring himself to say it. That's right, Sister Han. I think that since Lin Yi has risked his life for us, we can't run away by ourselves. That would be too disloyal. Cheng Yi was a very loyal person. Otherwise, she wouldn't have agreed to come to the freshman party because of Boss Zhang's request. And? Shihan nodded. She also felt that it wasn't a good time to run away by herself. After dodging the fierce attack, Lin Yi let out a sigh of relief. A serious look appeared on his face. The opponent's martial technique had reached a state where he could control it freely. Although Lin Yi could do the same, Lin Yi's martial technique was a fire element. Water and fire countered each other. It was hard to tell who would be the winner. If the opponent was a practitioner of other martial techniques, Lin Yi's chances of winning would be higher. But it just so happened that the opponent could counter his martial technique. This made Lin Yi a little depressed. This was the first time he faced such a high-level opponent, and it was an opponent that countered his martial technique. You have some skills? But this is only the first form. The Earth-class black-clothed man sneered. An icy mist condensed on his left fist again. This time it looked even fiercer and more majestic than before. Just like what he said, what he used before was only the first form of his martial technique. There should be more to come. And now that he was an Earth-class mid-stage master, he should be able to use at least 3 forms of martial technique. He might even be able to use the 4th form. Lin Yi took a deep breath. He didn't dare to be careless. He could see that this was the 2nd form of the Earth-class black-clothed man's move. Because of the bone-chilling cold, Lin Yi was still fine. But Shihan and the others behind Lin Yi felt like they had fallen into an ice cellar. They couldn't help but shiver. So Lin Yi didn't even think about it. He directly used the 2nd form of Frenzy Fist. In an instant, Lin Yi's fist was also wrapped in a ball of red flame. The high temperature made the cold autumn day feel warm. Shihan and the others behind Lin Yi felt like they were standing next to a bonfire. Fire element martial technique? If I'm not wrong, this shouldn't be the 1st form. Could it be the 3rd form? The Earth-class black-clothed man looked at Lin Yi in surprise. He didn't expect Lin Yi to be a fire element martial technique practitioner. Book Ocean Pavilion is a practitioner, and he's able to unleash the 3rd form of his martial art at the early phase of Earth class. According to the normal training progress, one would normally be able to use the 3rd form when they were about to break through to the mid-stage of Earth class. So far he had only mastered 4 forms. That was because he was an Earth class mid-stage master and had been famous for a long time. That was why he could use the 4th form. Even so, he was still considered a genius among his peers. But Lin Yi? Could it be that this guy was pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger? Could it be that the early stage of Earth class wasn't his real strength? Thinking up to here, the Earth class black-clothed man's eyes sharpened. He planned to exchange moves with Lin Yi and test out Lin Yi's strength. Of course, a battle between Earth class masters didn't have as many concerns as a mystic class. In a battle between Earth class masters, martial techniques were the most important. He estimated that Lin Yi's Frenzy Fist should belong to the 3rd form. So he instantly changed his Freezing Snow Pierce into the 3rd form, planning to fight it head-on. The Frigid Snow Thorn was actually one of the more superior martial skills. Among the martial skills collected by the ancient Feng clan, it could be ranked among the top. Therefore he was confident that if he encountered a martial skill of the same level, he would be able to gain the upper hand. So, the black-clothed man's left fist went straight for Lin Yi's right fist. Lin Yi couldn't be bothered to explain too much to him. This Earth-class black-clothed man mistakenly thought that his second form was the third form. It seemed that Falbert's frenzy fist was indeed extraordinary. His second form should be able to compete with the third form of other martial techniques. But what Lin Yi didn't expect was that the Earth-class black-clothed man would change his second form into the third form at the last moment, and it was too late for Lin Yi to change it. The two fists collided with a loud bang. The black-clothed man quickly took a few steps back, but Lin Yi's body was sent flying. Book Ocean Pavilion, target equals _blank. Chapter 1987. Book C Pavilion. Lin Yi's body landed heavily on the ground, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. It looked like Lin Yi was badly injured, but in reality, Lin Yi didn't suffer any serious injuries. He just borrowed the strength of the man's skill to fly out, and didn't take it head-on. The Earth-class black-clothed man, on the other hand, didn't seem to have taken a few steps back, but he wasn't much better off than Lin Yi. His internal organs were shaken up as well. He hurriedly circulated his mental cultivation method without batting an eyelid, and only then did he quickly calm down. At this moment, Lin Yi also saw that although the frenzy fist was strong, and each style was a level higher than the other skills of the same level, if he used the second style to fight against the third style of the opponent, he would still be at a disadvantage. Especially when he was weaker than the opponent, and his chi wasn't as strong as the opponent, even if he used the same level skills, it would still be affected. Lin Yi quickly channeled the art of dragon mastery to heal his injuries while the man didn't move. He could also see that the opponent was also healing, but Lin Yi didn't choose to continue attacking at this time. If the two were to fight head-on, then the one at a disadvantage would still be Lin Yi because Lin Yi's strength wasn't as strong as the opponent, so this kind of fighting style gave Lin Yi an advantage. The art of dragon mastery could heal injuries infinitely, but the opponent was only calming his injuries, and couldn't recover in a short period of time. This time, Su Shirhan didn't dare to disturb Lin Yi, so she covered her mouth with her hand, but she was worried for Lin Yi, again. After Lin Yi healed his injuries, he didn't give the opponent a chance to rest anymore. He used the third style of the frenzy fist and rushed towards the man like lightning. The place where his fist passed through formed a long fire dragon, and the air resistance formed a long howl, die. The man didn't think that Lin Yi would dare to fight head-on, and he couldn't believe it. Because through the head-on collision, he had already figured out Lin Yi's strength. Although Lin Yi's skills were overbearing and he didn't know how he practiced it to the third style, his internal strength was definitely only at the early stage of the Earth class. Although he was stronger than the normal early stage of the Earth class he should be breaking through soon, but he definitely wasn't at the peak of the early stage of the Earth class. From the result of the collision, it could be seen that Lin Yi's strength was obviously weaker than the Earth class black-clothed man, because the black-clothed man didn't even take a few steps back, but Lin Yi, on the other hand, was sent flying. This was a completely different level of strength. And to fight head-on in this situation, wasn't it the same as looking for death? Although he wouldn't die in one hit, a few more hits would probably kill him, so the man was very confused. What was this Lin Yi thinking? In fact, it wasn't that Lin Yi was looking for death, but because Lin Yi had no other way. The only thing Lin Yi could rely on was his advantage of being able to heal quickly. If he could use his martial skills to continuously clash with the man, and have enough time for Lin Yi to recover, then Lin Yi was confident that he could make the man stay. But whether or not it would be like Lin Yi wanted was unclear. The fourth style? How is that possible? How could it be the fourth style? The man wanted to use the third style again to fight against Lin Yi, but found that Lin Yi actually used the fourth style. It should be known that the consumption of true chi for each style increased exponentially. Under normal circumstances, under the circumstances that the level wasn't very high, using the most powerful style would consume a lot of true chi in the body. For example, if the man was a mid-earth class master, he could only use the fourth style 10 times or so before he would be exhausted. As for an early earth class master like Lin Yi, it would be good if he could use the second style 10 times, let alone the third or fourth style. Therefore, with regards to Lin Yi's fourth style, the man was very surprised. He didn't know what Lin Yi was going to do, but one thing was for sure, Lin Yi wanted to fight head-on. The earth-class black-clothed man felt a wave of depression. He also changed the third style to the fourth style and used it against Lin Yi. He actually didn't want to waste time on Lin Yi. His target was Su Shirhan. The words he said before were to threaten Lin Yi and make Lin Yi say some soft words and leave, but he didn't expect it to have the opposite effect. This guy didn't care about his life at all. Pung? Lin Yi looked at the ice mist on the man's left hand that suddenly became even sharper. Lin Yi's heart slightly shivered, but he still clenched his teeth and faced it head-on. Facing an Earth-class master who was a higher level than him, Lin Yi didn't have the slightest confidence in winning. If it was just one level higher, Lin Yi could see that he could use Frenzy Fist to defeat him. If the Earth-class black-clothed man didn't practice his fourth form, then Lin Yi could totally use the third form Frenzy Fist to defeat him because the third form Frenzy Fist was infinitely close to other people's fourth form. But this Earth-class black-clothed man was 2 levels higher than Lin Yi, and he practiced the fourth form Cold Snow Pierce. Lin Yi could barely fight him to a draw and it was very difficult. When he was in the Mystic class, the feeling of killing his opponent in a second was almost non-existent. This made Lin Yi very unhappy and depressed. The feeling of going from the strongest under Earth class to the weakest under Heaven class made Lin Yi want to vomit blood. The flames of the fiery fist clashed with the ice mist of the icy snow spike, forming a huge energy collision. Lin Yi's body flew back once more, but of course the Earth-class black-clothed man wasn't having it easy either. After all, the third style that Lin Yi used was infinitely close to his fourth style. This kind of head-on collision, Lin Yi already suffered internal injuries, how could he have it easy? Book Ocean Pavilion. His internal organs had changed positions, causing him to vomit a mouthful of black blood. It was obvious that he had suffered the same serious internal injuries as Lin Yi. The man in black was so angry that he wanted to curse. It was obvious that Lin Yi's strength was much weaker than his, but he could still use the fourth style of martial arts. This kind of head-on collision was a method of mutual destruction. In the end, whoever had the stronger Jin Qi would have the advantage. It was completely at the cost of one's own injury in exchange for the other's death. Lin Yi naturally didn't have it easy either. This move brought much more damage than the previous one. Lin Yi continuously vomited 4 or 5 mouthfuls of blood, and his face became very pale. Book Ocean Pavilion. Chapter 1988. Book C Pavilion, Chapter 2000. The gap was huge, but as soon as Lin Yi landed, he didn't waste any time and quickly entered the jade space to heal and replenish his energy. As for the man in black, he didn't dare to attack Lin Yi. He had to adjust his breathing first. He was afraid that Lin Yi would counterattack him if he tried to attack Lin Yi. So since Lin Yi was adjusting his breathing, he also took the opportunity to adjust his breathing. At this time, both sides had a tacit understanding to not attack each other. This was because the qi in their bodies wasn't flowing smoothly. They also knew that if they attacked each other now, they would both die. So no one did anything stupid. After a few moments of adjustment, the man in black let out a long breath and sneered at Lin Yi. What? Brat, you just barely managed to activate the fourth move of the martial skill. Are you unable to stand up? You've lost a lot of qi and become a soft-footed shrimp? Ah, then I won't be polite. You can go die now. Lin Yi didn't want to waste any time. Even if he could heal and replenish his qi in the jade space, it wouldn't make up for the loss of his qi. His internal injuries could only be healed by half. So Lin Yi waited for the man in black to finish his sarcastic words before reluctantly returning to reality. He stood up lazily and looked at the man in black. Oh, I've actually recovered a long time ago. I just sat on the ground for a while. I thought you wouldn't make it this time. So you're not dead yet? Then let's go again. As Lin Yi said this, he continued to use the third move, Frenzy Fist. The man in black had just finished adjusting his breathing and hadn't thought about what to do next when he saw Lin Yi using the fourth move again. He almost died. He thought to himself, you don't want to live anymore? You've suffered such serious internal injuries in the previous head-on clash, and you still want to fight head-on? Can't you just exchange a few moves before using the martial skill? Even if you don't mind the lack of Jinqi, I do. However, thinking about it was just thinking about it. Lin Yi's fist had already arrived. The Earth Stage black-clothed man could only grit his teeth and receive it. Otherwise he would probably be crippled by Lin Yi. Even a mystic mid-phase peak master wouldn't dare stand there and let the opponent hit him. That would definitely cripple him. Bang! Another violent collision resounded, and the two men's bodies were once again blasted apart by the huge amount of true qi. Lin Yi was once again sent flying, and this time the Earth-ranked man in black was in a much worse state than the previous 2 times. His internal injuries had not yet recovered, so when he collided head-on with Lin Yi, he didn't just take a few steps back. Instead, he took a few steps back all the way to the corner of the wall behind him. Only then did he manage to hold onto the wall and stabilize himself. But this time he spat out 2 mouthfuls of black blood. Naturally, Lin Yi wasn't much better. It was also more serious than the last time. He was still sent flying, landed on the ground and spat out a few mouthfuls of blood. Then he quickly entered the jade space to heal and replenish his strength. However, the physical strength and injuries consumed every time he used the martial skill couldn't be replenished in a short period of time. So Lin Yi could only replenish a small portion each time. Every time he would waste a large portion. This reminded Lin Yi of the battle with Right 13. That time, Lin Yi used this kind of tenacious willpower to compete with Right 13. But at that time, Right 13's martial skill was obviously not on the same level as this Earth-ranked man in black. In fact, it could be said that the difference was like heaven and earth. Now Lin Yi could roughly guess that this person in front of him wasn't from an ancient sect. Book C Pavilion. The sect was an ancient family, otherwise, it would be impossible to have such a powerful martial skill. And it was also impossible for him to master the 4th martial skill at the mid-phase of the Earth-ranked. All signs indicated that if this person wasn't a genius, then he came from a wealthy family. Even hidden families would be left in the dust. Kid, you can't do it this time, can you? This time the Earth-ranked man in black didn't get up so quickly to mock Lin Yi. Instead he adjusted his breathing for a long time. Seeing that Lin Yi was still sitting on the ground, he mocked him. After a while Lin Yi stretched and said lightly, I was about to fall asleep, and you only finished adjusting your breathing. You're really slow. I thought you were dead. Bullsh*T. The Earth-ranked man in black said angrily, you have more Bullsh*T than me. Stop pretending. You want to scare me away by pretending to be calm? That's just wishful thinking. Do you think I don't know that you're talking nonsense? If you had nothing better to do, why didn't you sneak attack me? Why are you still on the ground? Sneak attacks are so shameless. Lin Yi smiled faintly. You hid your strength just now to kill one of my people. Isn't that shameless? The Earth-ranked man in black was already infuriated by Lin Yi. This little bastard only knew how to fight head-on. Fight head-on. Yes, he must have done it on purpose, pretending to be fine to scare me away. How could I let him succeed? In fact, what the Earth-ranked man in black thought was not wrong. Lin Yi's injuries were indeed heavier than his. This could be seen from the distance Lin Yi flew. But Lin Yi had the jade pendant, so he didn't know. Hiding and sneak attacks are different. Lin Yi said, come on, let's continue. See how open I am, who will sneak attack who? The Earth-ranked man in black was angry. He was a dignified Middle Earth-ranked master, but he was being bullied by Lin Yi. But Lin Yi's bully was really effective. The pride of a Middle Earth-ranked master was not ordinary, especially when facing a weakling like Lin Yi. So the Earth-ranked man in black said, what's there to be afraid of? Come on. And so Lin Yi's Raging Flame Fist's 3rd form once again met the Earth-ranked man's 4th form. After another loud bang, the two were once again bounced apart. 5 times, this was the 5th time the two had clashed head-on. Lin Yi felt that his physical strength was getting weaker, and his injuries were getting worse. It had already begun to affect his normal martial arts. Lin Yi glanced at the Earth-ranked man in black. Although the opponent was also seriously injured, and his physical strength was also declining, the opponent was still a Middle Earth-ranked master. Compared to Lin Yi, the difference was too big, so Lin Yi couldn't guarantee that he could exhaust the opponent to death. And now, Lin Yi also discovered that the Earth-ranked Middle Earth-ranked master in front of him and Right 13's Middle Earth-ranked master were two completely different concepts. Previously, Lin Yi could exhaust Right 13 to the point that he ran away in fear, but the Earth-ranked man in black in front of him definitely wouldn't. Not to mention that his martial arts were many times better than Right 13's. Even Right 13 could only use 2 martial arts at that time, which was incomparable to the Earth-ranked man in black in front of him. Lin Yi gritted his teeth. This definitely couldn't go on like this, and Lin Yi couldn't retreat. Not to mention whether Su Shihan would be in danger if he retreated, it was just that the Earth-ranked man in black said that he would take revenge on the people around Lin Yi. Lin Yi couldn't let him go so easily. Book C Pavilion. Chapter 1989. Book C Pavilion, Chapter 2001. Very touched. Therefore Lin Yi had to think of a countermeasure. Without a countermeasure, Lin Yi would have a hard time defeating the man in black. While healing and replenishing his energy, Lin Yi's mind spun rapidly, trying to think of a solution. But in the current situation, Lin Yi had no other way. His strength was not enough, his martial arts were not enough, his mental cultivation. Yes, mental cultivation. Lin Yi had been using the first stage of the art of dragon mastery to heal and replenish his strength, but he had never used the second stage to do this. At that time, it was also because Lin Yi's first stage was relatively simple, so there was no need to use the second stage. So when Lin Yi used the second stage, he only used it for healing and nothing else. With that in mind, Lin Yi quickly changed the first level of the art of dragon mastery to the second level. In the next moment, Lin Yi's injuries healed 2 to 3 times faster than before, and the qi that he'd lost in his body was also rapidly recovering. It was many times faster than before. This situation made Lin Yi overjoyed, but at the same time he felt that he was too stupid. If he had used this method to replenish his energy and heal, then he wouldn't be in such a miserable state. At least in this kind of head-on fight, Lin Yi wouldn't be at a disadvantage anymore. Of course, this situation today was completely accidental. This man in black came with a purpose. Otherwise, if it was someone else, they wouldn't fight with Lin Yi, a master with such powerful martial arts. But if he couldn't get past Lin Yi, he wouldn't be able to kill Su Shihan. And Lin Yi fought with brute force, completely using a desperate method, leaving the man in black helpless. If he didn't fight, he couldn't dodge, right? Even if he dodged, he could only dodge once. Next time, if Lin Yi used a feint and then a real attack, then he would be in danger. Moreover, as the pride of a mid-Earth class master, he didn't want to show any weakness in front of an early Earth class master like Lin Yi. He was obviously 2 levels higher than Lin Yi, so why should he dodge? But most importantly, the man in black felt that he was stronger than Lin Yi. If this continued, the first to die would definitely be Lin Yi. In fact, after 5 consecutive collisions, if Lin Yi hadn't discovered that the second stage of the art of dragon mastery could heal and replenish his energy faster, Lin Yi would definitely die after a few more collisions. Kid? It won't work this time, right? I reckon that you'll be dead if you fight another 2 times. Now, kowtow and admit defeat. Hurry up and scram. Don't get in my way and I'll let you and your family go. How about that? Although the Earth-ranked man in black was stronger than Lin Yi, it wasn't by much. At most, he was on par with Lin Yi after using the second level of the art of dragon mastery to heal and replenish his stamina. If this went on, even if he didn't die within a few moves, his stamina would be depleted endlessly. Book Ocean Pavilion, even if he went, he would still die. Therefore, the reason why the man in black said this was to test Lin Yi. He wanted to see if his estimation was correct. If Lin Yi was really an Earth-ranked early phase master, then no matter how strong he would still be dead after 2 more collisions. I said that we won't stop until one of us dies. Let's continue. Lin Yi stood up and smiled at the man in black. Now that things had reached this point, Lin Yi couldn't let the man in black go. Let's not talk about whether or not he would keep his word, and whether or not he would let his family go. Just from the current situation, Lin Yi couldn't leave Su Shihan alone. Moreover, the Earth-ranked man in black had to die. He already knew of Chu Yang's background and strength. Once he returned and spread the news to his enemies, his true strength would be exposed. Would the family that had 3 Earth-ranked experts killed by Chu Yang take it lying down? So no matter what, he couldn't compromise. The man in black heard Lin Yi's words and really wanted to say, "Are you a cockroach? Why are you still here? You're an Earth-ranked early phase master, why aren't you dead yet? Are you really an Earth-ranked early phase master?" But although the man in black was suspicious, he was sure that Lin Yi was definitely an Earth-ranked early phase master. Otherwise, if Lin Yi was still hiding his strength in this situation, then there was something wrong with his brain. Su Shihan covered her mouth, crystal-clear tears silently flowed down her beautiful face. Lin Yi didn't need to care about her at all. If Lin Yi had the strength to easily kill the man, then there was no doubt that he would make a move. But now Lin Yi clearly wasn't the opponent's match, and he was fighting with his life on the line. He was sent flying again and again, but every time he stood up, he'd smile and say, "Let's do it again." Su Shihan was very touched and wanted to cry. She lost her parents' love when she was young, and this was the first time she felt that someone would treat her so well. She wanted to say, don't care about me, leave, but she didn't dare to make a sound and distract Lin Yi. Although Su Shihan wasn't a practitioner, she could see that these two were really clashing with strength. One moment of distraction or carelessness, and she would die a horrible death. All this time, Su Shihan and Lin Yi had the mentality of repaying a debt of gratitude. Lin Yi cured her headache and she was very grateful to Lin Yi, but it was just gratitude. Their relationship could only be considered as a slightly better friend. Of course, there was also the relationship between Xiao Xiao, Tang Yun, Meng Yao and Yushu. She just had a good relationship with Lin Yi. And now Lin Yi's behavior had exceeded that of a normal friend. How could Su Shihan not be touched? In fact, the reason why Lin Yi did this was because he was the one who invited Su Shihan, so he had the responsibility to protect Su Shihan. This man in black had threatened Lin Yi, and he wanted to attack the people around Lin Yi. How could Lin Yi let him live? Feng Sanhuang's face was very solemn. He was very grateful to Lin Yi. He wanted to help, but he knew that with his skills he would only be a hindrance. Feng Sanhuang watched as Lin Yi fell and stood up again and again. He even thought that if he could, he would die in Lin Yi's place. After all, protecting Su Shihan was Feng Sanhuang's duty, but to Lin Yi, it wasn't his duty or obligation. Lin Yi was merely helping out as a friend. Qing Yi's eyes were filled with terror as she looked at everything in front of her, not knowing what to do. 6 times, 7 times, 8 times. Lin Yi wasn't having a good time, but the Earth-rank black-robed man wasn't having a good time either. He wondered why Lin Yi was still alive. How could he still stand up and fight with him? If Lin Yi was an Earth-class early-phase master, he would have been dead by now. Even if he wasn't dead, he wouldn't have the stamina to fight him. How did Lin Yi do it? Book C Pavilion. Chapter 1990. Book C Pavilion, Chapter 2002. Not willing. Previously, when Lin Yi used the 4th form with the strength of an early Earth class, the man in black was already a little confused, and now he was even more confused. Of course, the 4th form was only the 3rd form. Kid, we're always using the 4th form to meet force with force, isn't that too unsightly? How about we change a few moves? It's too boring to play like this. The man in black was finally a little scared. He was afraid that if Lin Yi kept going, he wouldn't be able to hold on much longer. Under normal circumstances, he could only use the 4th form about 10 times. Even if he was lucky, he could only use it about 15 times. Now that he had used it 8 times, what if Lin Yi could still hold on? And Lin Yi actually didn't want to go on like this. Although the 3rd form was powerful, it wasn't as powerful as the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd forms. And Lin Yi actually couldn't hold on for much longer. Even with the 2nd stage of the Art of Dragon Mastery, Lin Yi could only hold on for another 5 or 6 times. Just when he didn't know what to do, the man in black actually made such a request. Lin Yi was overjoyed. How could he refuse? Alright, then let's start from the 2nd form, but don't play any tricks. Lin Yi said. His 1st form was equivalent to the 2nd form of the man in black, so Lin Yi could only say that he would start from the 2nd form. I'm afraid that you'll play tricks. Those who play tricks will die. The man in black nodded, but he was very puzzled as to why Lin Yi wanted to start from the 2nd form. But in an instant he understood. The Earth-class black-clothed man also knew how to use martial arts from the 1st form, and the 2nd and 3rd forms would be stronger than if he used them alone. If he used them from the 2nd form onwards, he wouldn't be able to use them. So Lin Yi had suggested it because he was afraid that his martial arts would be stronger. However, the Earth-rank black-clothed man rarely practiced the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd style in succession, so it didn't have much of an effect on him. Alright, let's begin. Lin Yi mobilized the true chi within his body and launched the first move of the Raging Flame Fist towards the Earth stage man in black. The Earth-rank black-clothed man also used the 2nd form of his Icy Snow Thorn to meet Lin Yi. Boom! A loud sound rang out as the two of them retreated. However, Lin Yi didn't stop after spitting out a mouthful of blood in order to keep using his skills, and so he didn't stop after spitting out a mouthful of blood. Instead, he quickly and continuously used the 2nd form of Frenzy Fist towards the black-clothed man. The Earth-rank black-clothed man didn't expect that Lin Yi would actually skip the time to adjust his breathing, and only attack with the 3rd style. He didn't dare to adjust his breathing and hurriedly used his own 3rd style to meet the attack. Boom! Another one. Book C Pavilion. A loud sound rang out as the two retreated once again. But this time the Earth-rank man retreated even more than before, and he spat out even more blood than before. The Earth-rank black-clothed man was somewhat puzzled. Lin Yi's 3rd style seemed to be very powerful? Did he use the 4th style? However, he shook his head. This shouldn't be the 4th style because the power of the 4th style was greater than this. But why did Lin Yi's 3rd style seem to be stronger than his 3rd style? In fact, Lin Yi was only using the 2nd style. Even if it was infinitely close to the Earth-rank black-clothed man's 3rd style, it was still inferior to the 3rd style. The reason why the Earth-rank black-clothed man felt that it was very strong was because this style was directly derived from the 1st style, so it was stronger than the normal 2nd style, resulting in such a result. However, before the Earth-rank black-clothed man could think any further, Lin Yi's 4th style came attacking. The Earth-rank black-clothed man was speechless. Do you want to die if you don't rest? However, Lin Yi's fist had already arrived and he couldn't sit down to adjust his breathing, but he also didn't want to meet force with force again. Because he discovered that Lin Yi's fourth style was stronger than before, it was about 20% stronger. What was going on? Not only did Lin Yi not calm down to adjust his breathing, but he also continuously attacked but stronger? Could it be that some people could start practicing from the second style, and the effect of each style was stronger than the previous one? Never heard of it? The earth-rank black-clothed man's blood was really boiling. In his opinion, if he took this move from Lin Yi, he would definitely be very miserable. This was different from before where he had the time to adjust his breathing, but now he didn't, and this move from Lin Yi was even stronger. Thinking of this, the earth-rank black-clothed man's eyes turned, and he pretended to punch at Lin Yi, but in fact he used both his feet to forcefully step on the ground, and his whole body borrowed the force to fly out, directly flying under the wall not far away. This kind of dodging method was very shameful, especially for an Earth-class mid-stage master to not dare to take on an Earth-class early-stage master's martial technique. But at this moment the Earth-class black-clothed man didn't care about this shameful thing anymore. He even had some regrets. From the beginning he shouldn't have clashed with Lin Yi so many times, he should have dodged a few times, and used up some of Lin Yi's strength. But with the confidence of a middle earth rank, he didn't do that, and now he couldn't care so much. Seeing that the earth rank black-clothed man suddenly dodged, Lin Yi's heart suddenly sank, and his expression changed. This third style, Frenzy Fist, was his trump card. He practiced the first and second style all the way without stopping to urge the third style, in order to make the third style stronger, and if the third style hit the body of the earth rank black-clothed man, Lin Yi also had the confidence to seriously injure him. Before, Lin Yi had been persevering, even when he used the first and second style to fight with the earth-rank black-clothed man and suffered serious internal injuries, he didn't stop to heal and chose to continue. Because as long as the earth-rank black-clothed man was seriously injured, then Lin Yi would have the absolute advantage. But unexpectedly, at this most critical moment, the earth-rank black-clothed man actually chose to retreat. He didn't take the third style head-on. Lin Yi frowned, his heart was full of regret, and the third style had already been urged. It was impossible to stop. In desperation, with regret, Lin Yi could only urge the third style. Although Lin Yi had tried his best to chase in the direction of the earth-rank black-clothed man, the power of the third style had mostly dissipated. By the time Lin Yi arrived in front of the earth-rank black-clothed man, only a small bit of hot flame swept across his body. This bit of flame might be fatal to ordinary people, but to the earth-rank black-clothed man, it was nothing, not even a small injury. Lin Yi wasn't willing to accept this. Yes, there was a deep unwillingness in his heart. Book C Pavilion. Chapter 1991. Book C Pavilion, Chapter 2003 Frenzy Fist, 4th Form. He had painstakingly planned to activate 3 forms in a row, but it had actually been resolved by the earth-rank man's retreat. He had clenched his teeth and persevered even though he was injured, but in the end, it was all for naught. Thinking of this, Lin Yi was so angry that his eyes seemed to be emitting flames. Unexpectedly, Lin Yi actually continued to activate the Frenzy Fist's 4th form. This was a form that Lin Yi had activated many times without success, but for some reason, Lin Yi actually clenched his teeth and activated it once again under these circumstances. In the past, when he wanted to activate the 4th form after the 3rd form had ended, Lin Yi would have a feeling that his strength was not as strong as his will, and thus forcefully dispersed the condensed qi and aura, ultimately ending in failure. But this time Lin Yi's expression was incomparably solemn and, once again activated the 4th form. Facing the earth-rank man in front of him, he took a step forward. Afterwards, the qi within Lin Yi's body frantically surged towards his right fist, and at this moment the heaven and earth spiritual qi around Lin Yi's body also seemed to be mobilized, and circled around Lin Yi's head and body. Lin Yi's hands quickly formed seals, forming a very strange posture. Under the astonished expression of the earth-rank man in black, he punched out, Frenzy Fist, 4th Form. When the inconceivably powerful heaven and earth spiritual qi in the surroundings had been attracted by Lin Yi's Frenzy Fist's first 3 forms and condensed, Lin Yi finally took that final step, the 4th form. All of this seemed to be done in one go without any obstructions. In the past, when practicing the Frenzy Fist's first 3 forms, when he wanted to activate the 4th form, it would always be for naught at the last moment. This wasn't because Lin Yi didn't work hard or anything, it was because his cultivation wasn't enough. Although he could get infinitely close to the minimum requirement of being able to perform the fourth form by relying on the overlay of his aura after practicing the first form, infinitely close didn't mean that he completely met the requirement, so he still couldn't do it. But it was different this time. When he used the third move, Frenzy Fist, the challenge of his limits became his greatest help. His body seemed to have turned into a ball of flame at this moment. He pushed all his momentum to the limit and successfully activated the fourth move, Frenzy Fist. At this moment, the eyes of the Earth-rank man in black surged with a strong sense of fear. The moment when Lin Yi's fist was about to land on his body, he once again urged the fourth form of the icy snow thorn to meet Lin Yi. At this moment he wanted to dodge again, but he was already at the bottom of the wall, and there was nowhere to hide. Left with no other choice, he could only take the attack head-on. But in the next moment his eyes flashed with deep shock. The fifth style. How is this possible? But the man in black. Book C Pavilion. Before he could finish his sentence, he was sent flying by a huge force. However, the distance he flew was very limited, and he was directly hit by Lin Yi onto the cement wall behind him. His body smashed onto the cement wall, causing it to collapse with a loud bang. A super large hole had already appeared on his left hand and left chest. This was caused by Lin Yi's fourth style of wildfire fists. Those intermittent words from before were the last words of the black-clothed man of Earth rank in this world. He died with everlasting regret. Even in death he did not know how he had died. Why did Lin Yi suddenly execute the fifth form? What was the reason behind this? And Lin Yi was just an early Earth class. But all of this was meaningless, because he was already dead. The death of the black-clothed man did not bring much joy to Lin Yi. On the contrary, Lin Yi's expression was incomparably solemn. Lin Yi's body was surrounded by more and more spiritual energy, because Lin Yi could already feel that he was about to break through. The moment he executed the fourth style of Wildfire Fist, Lin Yi felt that he was about to break through. However, he resisted the urge to absorb the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, and did not enter the space within the jade pendant. He carefully controlled the rhythm of his body, and executed the fourth style of Wildfire Fist. Under the pressure of the fourth style of Wildfire Fist, the black-clothed man's fourth style, Icy Snow Spike, was broken without any resistance. This kind of victory was completely a fluke, and a narrow victory. If it wasn't for the fact that the black-clothed man did not dare to meet Lin Yi's third style head-on at the last moment, and did not let Lin Yi's third style explode and fully release it, he would not have been able to execute the fourth style so smoothly. But if the black-clothed man knew that it was because of his escape that Lin Yi executed the fourth style and broke through in strength, he would definitely be depressed to the point of dying again. There were many reasons why he was able to execute the fifth style of Wildfire Fist, but the most important reason was that in this kind of dangerous situation, Lin Yi's potential was stimulated, and it was also because Lin Yi was about to break through at the same time that he successfully executed the fourth style. None of these conditions could be omitted. After killing the black-clothed man, Lin Yi didn't even check if the man was dead or alive. He directly sat cross-legged on the ground, activated the second stage of the Art of Dragon Mastery, and entered the Jade Space. At this moment, the energy of heaven and earth above Lin Yi's head was getting denser and denser. Of course, this kind of phenomenon could only be felt by people, and Su Shihan and Cheng Yi only felt that there seemed to be some kind of strange airflow nearby, but they didn't feel anything strange. Is he about to break through? Feng Sanhuang didn't think that Lin Yi would be able to kill an Earth-class mid-stage master with the power of an Earth-class early stage, and not only that, but from the looks of it, he had broken through the limit of his body's potential, and was about to level up. Thinking up to here, Feng Sanhuang quickly said to Su Shihan and Cheng Yi, "Don't move, stand behind me, Brother Lin is about to break through, I want to do it for him." Okay. Although Su Shihan didn't understand what Feng Sanhuang was talking about, she could clearly see the current situation. Lin Yi's enemy was defeated, there was a big hole in his body, and he couldn't be more dead. It was obvious that Lin Yi was no longer in danger, and this made Su Shihan sigh in relief. At the same time she admired Lin Yi even more and even worshipped him. From the words of the black-clothed man, it could be seen that between the two of them, Lin Yi was at a disadvantage, but even at a disadvantage, Lin Yi was still able to climb back up again, and finally turned defeat into victory, creating a miracle. Cheng Yi's eyes, on the other hand, were filled with terror as she looked at Lin Yi and the dead man at the corner of the wall, speechless. Book Ocean Pavilion. Chapter 1992. Book C Pavilion, Chapter 2004 Earth Class Early Phase Peak. After Lin Yi entered the space of the Jade, he began to absorb the energy of heaven and earth in a frenzy. His body was like a big sponge, the endless energy pouring into his body. Compared to the slow absorption before, this was a completely different speed. As for Lin Yi, this was also the first time he used the second stage of the Art of Dragon Mastery to break through. He felt that his absorption speed was much faster than the first stage. In the same amount of time, he could absorb more energy into his body. At this moment, the sudden influx of pure energy was a little too much for Lin Yi to bear. Lin Yi took a deep breath and gritted his teeth. He didn't switch to the first stage of the Art of Dragon Mastery, but continued to work on the second stage of the art. He had a feeling that the first stage wouldn't be able to break through this shackle, and the second stage was the right choice. Lin Yi closed his eyes and carefully controlled the pure energy that was pouring into his body, guiding it to flow and circle in his meridians. After the pure energy flowed into his meridians, it seemed to have a life of its own. Under the control of the second stage of the Art of Dragon Mastery, it flowed back and forth in his meridians. This feeling made Lin Yi feel very comfortable. The pure energy that flowed through his meridians seemed to twist together with the original pure energy in his body, forming a unified flow. This was completely different from when he broke through to Earth Class. The first stage of the Art of Dragon Mastery didn't allow him to drive the pure energy that flowed into his body, it only allowed him to absorb the pure energy into his body, but the advantage now was that the pure energy that was absorbed into his body was fusing with the original pure energy, and the original pure energy became majestic and boundless. It seemed to have more vitality than before, which made it easier for Lin Yi to break through the bottleneck of the early phase peak of Earth Class. However, breaking through to Earth Class was evidently more difficult. As more and more pure chi entered his body, Lin Yi felt as if his entire body was on the verge of exploding. It was a torturous feeling, and there were a few times when he wanted to give up, but he gritted his teeth and persevered. Because Lin Yi understood that it was like rowing a boat against the current. If he didn't advance, he would fall back. If he gave up this time, then it would be a little more difficult to break through the second time. After all, this kind of limit breakthrough in battle was something that could only be found by chance. If he gave up, then who knew when he would have to wait for the next time? So, Lin Yi had to persevere no matter what. Suddenly, Lin Yi felt the meridians in his chest suddenly shook violently. His body also shook violently, and with a huge sound, he spat out another mouthful of black blood. This situation made Feng Sanhuang jump, and Su Shihan and Qing Yi, who were not far away, were also shocked. They didn't know what happened to Lin Yi, but they didn't dare to go up and disturb him. Lin Yi didn't really feel much, but rather it was because of the rapid circulation of the pure qi that forced the clotted blood out of his body, and his body's injuries were slowly recovering under the circulation of the pure qi. The second stage of the Art of Dragon Mastery seemed to be able to heal injuries during breakthroughs, and while it was a little painful, it was indeed magical. After spitting out a mouthful of blood, Lin Yi felt a lot more comfortable in his chest. The vast and boundless pure energy in his body had already begun to break through the bottleneck. It worked hard bit by bit in the meridians and gradually filled up. Lin Yi carefully absorbed and controlled the pure energy in his body, letting it flow into every meridian in his body. Wherever the pure energy flowed through, it quickly fused with the previous pure energy, and the nearby injuries were also quickly healed. Because some injuries were more serious than others, Lin Yi was like walking on a tightrope. He didn't dare to be careless at all. He used the Art of Dragon Mastery to guide the pure energy, sometimes fast, sometimes slow. At this moment, Lin Yi's body was already soaked with dirty blood and sweat, and he looked very haggard. Lin Yi was like a person covered in blood. If it wasn't for his rhythmic breathing and heartbeat that could tell that Lin Yi's body was very healthy, anyone who looked from afar would think that Lin Yi wouldn't be able to survive. Lin Yi slowly circulated the pure energy in his body. Finally, the pure energy had completed a full cycle in his body, and all his injuries were healed at this moment. However, the energy from the space in the jade pendant didn't stop flowing in, so Lin Yi didn't dare to relax at all, and continued to circulate the second stage of the Art of Dragon Mastery. Under Lin Yi's guidance, the pure energy began to circulate a second time. Slowly from beginning to end, Lin Yi suddenly realized that the pure energy in his body had been filled to an unbelievable level. At the same time, Lin Yi felt like his entire body was exploding, and after a loud boom in his ears, he felt unprecedentedly relaxed. Finally, a breakthrough. At this moment, Lin Yi was already at the peak of the early phase of Earth Class. Phew. Lin Yi Book Ocean Pavilion. He let out a long breath, feeling full of strength from head to toe. There was a feeling of relaxation that he had never felt before, and it was very comfortable. As Lin Yi let out that breath, he slowly opened his eyes. At this moment, Lin Yi had regained his previous vigor. The moment Lin Yi broke through, Feng Sanhuang also let out a long sigh of relief. He was also a practitioner, and even though he wasn't as high as Lin Yi, he was still very clear about the situation when breaking through. So when he saw Lin Yi open his eyes, he immediately cupped his hands in excitement. "Congratulations, Brother Lin, you've taken another step forward on the road of cultivation, reaching the peak of the early phase of Earth class. You've worked hard." Lin Yi nodded to Feng Sanhuang. Although Lin Yi was in the space of the jade pendant, he knew that Feng Sanhuang had been helping him outside. Therefore Lin Yi was very grateful to Feng Sanhuang. "Brother Lin, what do you mean by that? You're risking your life for us and I'm just doing my bit. How is that hard work?" Feng Sanhuang immediately shook his head and said, "If it wasn't for you, Miss Su, Miss Cheng, and I probably wouldn't have been able to escape from this man in black today." In Feng Sanhuang's opinion, Lin Yi could have just walked away, but Lin Yi hadn't done so. He'd even risked his life to make the black-clothed man stay by a narrow margin. This kindness had undoubtedly moved him greatly. "Han's someone I invited. I wouldn't be able to live with myself if something were to happen to her. I can't just sit back and do nothing unless I'm dead." Lin Yi was a man of persistence towards his friends and family. Book C Pavilion. Chapter 1993. Of course Lin Yi wouldn't die. If Lin Yi really had no other way, he would think of a way to escape with Su Shirhan and the others. Book C Pavilion Net. "Lin Yi, thank you." Su Shirhan looked at Lin Yi and said sincerely, "I don't know how to thank you, but I can only say this one word. Thank you." Su Shirhan said it from the bottom of her heart. A moment ago she thought of Lin Yi as a good friend, but now he was the kind of friend that she could trust with her heart and even her life. Saving someone's life was something that couldn't be repaid. Money, kindness, nothing was more important than life. Su Shirhan believed that if Lin Yi asked her to marry him right now, she would agree without hesitation. Although the story of a hero saving a beauty was a bit cliché, since ancient times beauties loved heroes. Su Shirhan couldn't say that she fell in love with Lin Yi in an instant, but deep in her heart she had a very good impression of Lin Yi. So even if he asked her to marry him, she wouldn't reject it. Of course Su Shirhan was just joking. Lin Yi already had girlfriends, and two of them. Even Meng Yao and Yushu had some kind of relationship with him. He didn't need her anymore. "You're welcome." Lin Yi stood up and said to Su Shirhan casually. Su Shirhan didn't expect Lin Yi to say it so casually. She was a bit surprised. "Although I don't know how to repay you, but no matter what you say, I will do my best. I won't hesitate." Feng Sanhuang looked at Su Shirhan and hesitated, but in the end he didn't say anything. Book C Pavilion Net. Making a superstar like Su Shirhan make this kind of promise? If Lin Yi was a pervert, then one could imagine what kind of request he would make. So, Feng Sanhuang wanted to remind Su Shirhan, but he felt that it was unnecessary. If Lin Yi was really that kind of person, then he, Feng Sanhuang, had misjudged him. "Ah sure. Yao Yao and Shu are both your fans. In the future, if they miss you, you can come over anytime." Lin Yi smiled and said indifferently, as if he didn't take Su Shirhan's promise seriously. "Of course, no problem. It's just a small matter. We're good friends anyway, it's not a big deal." Su Shirhan naturally wouldn't treat this as a condition to repay Lin Yi. "That's right, why don't we hurry up and take a look at the face of that man in black and see who he is?" Lin Yi suddenly thought of the masked man in black. Since he covered his face, he must be afraid of being recognized. Then the possibility of Su Shirhan and Feng Sanhuang knowing him was higher. "That's right, this is the important thing." Feng Sanhuang also nodded and quickly walked towards the black-clothed man. He wanted to pull off the black-clothed man's mask, but his hand stopped halfway as he said in horror, "Corpse-dissolving powder." "Corpse powder?" Lin Yi paused, not understanding what Feng Sanhuang was talking about. He walked over, but when he saw the condition of the man's face, he frowned, as expected. "It's corpse disintegration powder." Lin Yi was familiar with corpse powder from his previous job. This was a kind of powder that could quickly rot the skin and bones. Once it was sprinkled on the body, it would instantly corrode the body. Of course, this wasn't the strongest corpse powder. The stronger corpse powder, as long as a little bit was sprinkled, it could corrode the whole body. At this moment, the man in black's face was like this. It was completely corroded. Even half of the bones were corroded. Under the black mask, there was a yellow liquid that emitted a rancid smell. It was very disgusting. Su Shihan and Cheng Yi, on the other hand, were so disgusted that they wanted to puke. What's going on? When I was healing and breaking through, did someone come here? Lin Yi frowned. Although he asked this, he was almost sure that in this alley, other than the four of them, there shouldn't be anyone else. Otherwise, if there was an unfamiliar aura, Lin Yi would definitely be able to sense it. But Lin Yi didn't. There shouldn't be anyone else? Feng Sanhuang frowned and shook his head. When you were sitting on the ground, there should be 4 of us in the alley? 4 of us? Then there shouldn't be anyone sprinkling corpse powder. If that's the case, then the man in black must have bitten the capsule in his mouth or some kind of mechanism on the mask before he died. Lin Yi thought back to the time when they were on the airport highway. That mystic class peak late phase master was ruthless. If he could blow up his own head, then it wasn't surprising that the man in black could destroy his own face. That should be it. Feng Sanhuang nodded. Before, although Su Shihan and Cheng Yi were running around anxiously, there shouldn't be anyone else who entered the alley. Look at the other one. Lin Yi pointed at the other man in black not far away, but Lin Yi's eyes were better. With one look, he shook his head in disappointment and said, "It should be over, no need to look." Feng Sanhuang didn't give up and walked over to take another look. Sure enough, he found that the other mystic class man in black had also changed beyond recognition. He couldn't be identified at all. No, these people are too cunning. Feng Sanhuang said hatefully, "We don't even know who they are, damn it." "Forget it, I'll call someone to take care of the body, then we'll go and identify the body from before." Lin Yi said. "You have connections?" Feng Sanhuang heard Lin Yi's words and was immediately happy. "Yang Huijuan from the police station is a good brother of mine," Lin Yi said. "But, as far as I know, the bodies have already been moved to the department." Feng Sanhuang smiled bitterly. "We need to find someone from the department." "Ha, my father-in-law is?" Lin Yi shrugged and smiled. "Father-in-law?" Feng Sanhuang paused. Xiao Xiao's father, Feng Tianlong. Su Shihan knew and explained to Feng Sanhuang. "Feng Tianlong is..." Feng Sanhuang was shocked and took a deep breath. "What's wrong?" Lin Yi and Su Shihan were confused by Feng Sanhuang's expression. "Nothing. I'm just surprised that Bro Lin's father-in-law is from the department." Feng Sanhuang smiled bitterly. "I'll call him now." As Lin Yi spoke, he called Feng Tianlong and told him what happened here. As expected, the corpses had been moved to the Supernatural Investigation Bureau, but until now, no one had claimed or admitted that these people were related to them. Chapter 1994. Feng Tianlong also said that he would immediately send people here to transport the 2 bodies away and continue to investigate the families or sects behind the scenes. Lin Yi also asked Feng Tianlong to send the photos of the men in black who weren't disfigured. When Lin Yi received the information, he showed the phone to Feng Sanhuang. "I don't know them." Feng Sanhuang looked carefully for a long time and finally shook his head. "I don't know these people, they are all unfamiliar faces." Lin Yi wasn't surprised at all by Sanhuang's response. After all, these people didn't need to be masked to show up, so it was obvious that they weren't afraid of being recognized and investigated. They were all small characters, so this was normal. "Forget it, let's wait for Uncle Feng and the others," Lin Yi said. Not long after, a car with a special license plate drove on the pedestrian street in a low-key manner. But even if it was low-key, it was still very abrupt for a car to appear on the pedestrian street. However, there was no other way. If they wanted to transport the body, they couldn't just come over and carry it away, right? The car stopped at the entrance of the alley. Feng Tianlong and a few men in black got off the car. Feng Tianlong was originally in Donghai City dealing with the drug dealers, so he rushed over quickly. Book Ocean Pavilion, Net. "Uncle Feng." Lin Yi went over to greet him. "Little Yi, I'm busy these few days, I'll eat with you another day. I'll transport these 2 bodies first, I'll inform you immediately if there's any news." Although Feng Tianlong said that, he knew that he wouldn't be able to get any results from the investigation. After so long, no families or sects came out to claim these bodies. It was obvious that they didn't want to, and from the way their heads were destroyed, it could be seen that these people didn't want others to know their identity. "Okay, Uncle Feng." Lin Yi nodded. Feng Tianlong quickly ordered 2 fully armed men to carry the 2 bodies that were covered with body powder into the car and drove away. Su Shihan and Cheng Yi didn't have the mood to continue shopping. Such a big thing had happened. Both of them wanted to go back to their rooms and rest. However, Su Shirhan wanted to go back to the hotel, but Lin Yi didn't agree. Instead, he invited Su Shirhan to stay at his villa for the night. After all, Lin Yi was afraid that something might happen at night. Who knew if the enemy would send more masters to cause trouble? Su Shirhan didn't want to trouble Lin Yi anymore, but Feng Sanhuang said, "If that's the case, then I'll have to trouble Brother Lin. Words cannot express my gratitude." Su Shirhan didn't know whether to laugh or cry. She hadn't agreed yet, but Feng Sanhuang was more anxious than her. He agreed first, so Su Shirhan couldn't refuse anymore. She nodded and said, "Okay, I miss Yao Yao and Shu too. Let's go see them." Lin Yi's body was covered in blood, so the four of them returned to the parking lot under the surprised gazes of many people. No one dared to ask anything. Su Shirhan and Cheng Yi were wearing big sunglasses and Feng Sanhuang looked cool, so many people thought that these four were not good people. They thought that they were from the underworld, so no one dared to provoke them. Feng Sanhuang sent Lin Yi and Su Shirhan back to the villa in Shueshang district, and he drove Cheng Yi back to Shueshang Hotel. Meng Yao and Yushu opened the door and saw Su Shirhan first. They were surprised and happy. "Shirhan sis, Shu and I missed you." Meng Yao warmly invited Su Shirhan into the room, but when her eyes fell on Lin Yi, her whole body trembled. She was shocked. "Lin Yi, what happened to you?" "It's nothing, I fought with a gangster and got some blood." Lin Yi didn't want Meng Yao and Yushu to worry, so he said it calmly as if it was a very simple thing. "Are you really okay?" Meng Yao blinked and looked at Lin Yi suspiciously. After all, Lin Yi's situation was a bit too bad. His clothes were torn in a few places and it was all black blood. Even Lin Yi's face and mouth were full of blood. Meng Yao couldn't help but suspect that Lin Yi had serious internal injuries, but he couldn't say it. "I'm really okay." Lin Yi nodded. "Let Detective Shu check." Yushu ran over and touched Lin Yi's body left and right, front and back. "Ahem. Shu, if you want to take advantage of Lin Yi, just say it. You don't have to use the excuse of checking his body, okay? That's the trick of weird uncles." Meng Yao was speechless at Yushu's behavior. Wow, Shield Bro's muscles seem to be stronger. After the check by Detective Shu, Shield Bro is intact. Oh, it should be the upper body, the lower body hasn't been checked yet. Yushu looked at Lin Yi's lower body curiously. "Okay Shu, there's no need to check. Shirhan sis is here, can't you be more normal?" Meng Yao was speechless, but seeing that Lin Yi was really fine, she was relieved. "I'm very normal?" Yushu said confusedly. "Ha." Shirhan started laughing as well. Yushu had always been like this, always surprising people with her actions. "You guys play, I'm going to take a shower." With that, Lin Yi got up and walked to his room. Not only was he covered in blood, but he'd also just broken through. He was still sweaty and uncomfortable. "I'll go to bed after that. You guys rest early too. Han still needs to help me with rehearsals tomorrow." "Okay." Shirhan smiled at Lin Yi and nodded. Her eyes were full of gentleness and worship. Yushu looked at Lin Yi's back and then looked at Shirhan. Her face was a little strange. "Wait, it seems like there's something going on. Shirhan sis, there's something wrong between you and Shield Bro." "What? What's wrong?" Shirhan was recalling how Lin Yi stood up again and again. When Yushu suddenly asked her, her face turned red and she stuttered. Meng Yao wanted to tell Shu not to talk nonsense. Shirhan was a superstar, how could there be something going on with Lin Yi? But seeing Shirhan's stuttering expression, she was a little confused. Did something really happen between these two? So she didn't continue to say the words that were at the tip of her mouth. Instead, she looked at Shirhan suspiciously. "Oh, there's something going on. Shirhan sis, what did you and Shield Bro do just now? Don't tell me you've already pushed Shield Bro down?" Yushu looked at Su Shirhan, her eyes gleaming. "Ah, how is that possible?" Shirhan said subconsciously. "Then what's wrong with you guys? Why do I feel that something is wrong?" Yushu continued to ask. Chapter 1995. Alright, I'll tell you guys, but don't tell Lin Yi that I told you guys, he doesn't seem to want you guys to know," Shirhan said helplessly. In order to clarify her relationship with Lin Yi, she had no choice but to tell Meng Yao and Yushu. "He doesn't want us to know?" Meng Yao frowned, she didn't know why she wasn't happy. Was it because Lin Yi and Shirhan were hiding something from her? Even if Shirhan was a celebrity she liked, Lin Yi was involved. Meng Yao couldn't help but feel uncomfortable. "It's like this?" Shirhan sat on the sofa and lowered her voice as she recounted everything that had happened. Shirhan was a superstar after all, and her eloquence was top-notch. Even if she wasn't as vivid as Yushu, she was still able to tell the whole story without leaving out any details. When she got to the part where Linny fell and got up, Shirhan couldn't hold back her tears. "I'm so touched. I didn't think that Linny would risk his life to protect me. We're just normal friends." Mengyao and Yushu were silent as well, shaken to the core. Fortunately, Linny had returned victorious, and not only had his wounds healed, but he'd also used the opportunity to break through. It was a good thing to be happy about. The two also knew that Linny had the ability to heal himself, and they also knew that Linny was a protective person. Whether it was Shirhan, Guan Xian, Tang Yun, or even the Miss and Shu, Linny would always step forward and risk his life to save them. Book Ocean Pavilion Net. So Mengyao and Yushu understood. Linyi's just like that, he's very good to his friends. Mengyao sighed. But at least it's over. Yeah, Linny is a good man, you too. You have to cherish him. Shirhan sighed as well. Chu Mengyao blushed and was at a loss for words. Linny has a girlfriend. Sister Shirhan, you know that? Of course I know. But I can also see what you two are thinking. If it weren't for the two of you lining up here, maybe I would join in the fun too. Su Shirhan's words were said half-jokingly, so Mengyao and Yushu didn't take it seriously. Both of them focused on the first half of Su Shirhan's sentence. "Oh, Sister Shirhan is so amazing. She can see that I like Shield Bro at once." Yushu said, "But Sister Yao Yao is so reserved, but she can also see it. It's really not simple." "Little Shu, are you still asleep? What the hell are you talking about?" Mengyao glared at her. Book C Pavilion, Net. I mean Shirhan sis, do you like Shield Bro too? Yushu was afraid that Mengyao would beat her up, so she quickly changed the topic. Su Shirhan was a little suspicious, and after hearing Yushu's words she blushed and said incoherently, How could I? I just think that Linny is very powerful and I admire him a little." "Oh?" Yushu and Mengyao didn't expect Su Shirhan to admit it. Anyone could tell that Yushu was joking and changing the topic, but Su Shirhan took it seriously. She even said that she admired Linny. What did this mean? A man who could make a superstar admire him was really not simple. Could it be that Su Shirhan really liked him because he saved the damsel in distress? "You've misunderstood. I just think that he's very powerful, but I'm not in love with him." Su Shirhan saw the two's expression and quickly explained, "And I'm a superstar, how can I fall in love with someone so easily?" "That's true." Mengyao heard Su Shirhan's words and nodded. Linny was so powerful, it was possible that she simply admired him. After all, she admired Lin Yi's skills and perseverance. She just didn't say it out loud. After all, Su Shirhan was someone who had seen the world. After a short moment of panic, she easily changed the topic and the three of them started talking about other things. Su Shirhan had participated in large-scale press conferences, and she could easily deal with all those tricky questions from the media. Not to mention Mengyao and Yushu. Lin Yi went back to his room, took a shower, and sat on the bed cross-legged to continue practicing. He needed to stabilize his strength and level. Mengyao, Yushu, and Su Shirhan on the other hand were tired after talking for a while. They went upstairs to shower and get ready to rest. The Miss and Shu showered together. Although Su Shirhan was very familiar with them, she didn't want to bathe with them. She could only bathe alone after they were done. Mengyao was wiping herself with a towel after showering when she suddenly asked, "Right, Shu, didn't we ask Lin Yi to get the underwear? Why didn't he give it to us? Did he keep it for himself?" "Oh no way, Shield Bro isn't that perverted, is he?" Yushu blinked. "If Shield Bro likes it, I can actually give it to him for free." Ahem. "Maybe it's because Han Jingjing was there yesterday and she came back with us so he didn't take it out. He came back with Su Shirhan today so he didn't have the chance to take it out. We'll ask him tomorrow." Mengyao guessed. "That's possible," Yushu said. Inside the private room of the restaurant in Shueshang Hotel. Today, a small leader of the East Sea side of the Fire Wolf Gang invited the person in charge of the East Sea side of the Fire Wolf Gang to a banquet. The leader was, naturally, Li Biaohan from Donghai Industry University, and the new person in charge of the Firewolves was Jiang Wen. Jiang Wen would take over all the businesses and affairs of the Firewolves in Donghai City, continuing to think of ways to earn more money. Li Biaohan brought two friends with him today. One was Niadeo from the Hidden House Zhuang, and the other was Tiger Wright from the Hidden House Yu. These two were people of high status and Li Biaohan had them accompany him. It was enough to show how much importance he placed on Jiang Wen. Li Biaohan, on the other hand, had heard of Jiang Wen's exploits. It was said that Jiang Wen was someone who could think of ways to earn money, and was highly regarded by the leader of the Firewolves. If Li Biaohan could serve Jiang Wen well, then his position in the Firewolves would definitely skyrocket. Welcome Wen bro. Li Biaohan quickly stood up and greeted Jiang Wen passionately. Niadeo and Tiger right beside him stood up as well. They knew how powerful the Firewolves were. Target equals _ blank. Chapter 1996. They'd heard about Jiang Wen from Li Biaohan, the person in charge of the Firewolves in the province. The Firewolves valued him a lot, and they naturally wanted to be on good terms with him. Book Ocean Pavilion Net. Of course, they had heard that Jiang Wen used to be a member of House An, one of the 5 small noble houses. However, House An's identity paled in comparison to House An's identity. It wasn't even worth mentioning. You're Li Biaohan, right? Not bad, you do look tough. Jiang Wen looked at Li Biaohan, quite satisfied with his respect and friendliness. It seemed that this guy had a good eye for things and was worth his time to train. Thanks for the compliment, Wen bro. Li Biaohan pointed at the two beside him. Let me introduce you, Wen bro. This is the young master of House Zhuang, Zhuang Niadeo, the future heir of House Zhuang. This is the second young master of House Yu, and he's well versed in the art of pelletization. He'll definitely be one of the elders of House Yu in the future. Jiang Wen was a little taken aback after hearing their statuses. These two were from hidden houses. If it weren't for the fact that the Firewolves valued him so much that his status skyrocketed, he wouldn't have been able to interact with the young masters of the hidden houses with his status as one of the 5 small noble houses, even if he was just an external contact for the Firewolves. Book Ocean Pavilion Net. But now Jiang Wen wasn't the same as before. He didn't feel flattered at all. So it's Master Zhuang and Master Yu, it's an honor to meet you. This is my follower, Big Scorpion. We're family now, let's get to know each other better. Who knows, I might need your help in the future. Sure, I heard that Wen bro is good at making money. Master Yu and I were thinking that if Master Wen has any good ideas for making money, we'd be extremely grateful if you could bring us along. Zhuang Niadeo was the future heir of House Zhuang, and his goal in coming to school was to learn how to manage a house. It'd be best if he could find some business for the house. As for Right Coiling Tiger, it was purely for fun. He knew alchemy. Although he could only refine some low-level pills, he could still sell them for a lot of money. He was never short of pocket money. My business is illegal. I wonder if the two of you are still interested? Jiang Wen's mind spun. It wouldn't be a bad idea to rope in these 2 young masters of the hidden houses if he had some business dealings. Borrowing their power would make things much easier. We are all cultivators. What's there to be afraid of? Zhuang Niadeo waved his hand and confidently said, Don't worry, when Brother Wen has business, just help us. If that's the case, sure. Jiang Wen nodded. Book C Pavilion, Net. Li Biaohan said, All right, let's sit down and talk. Brother Wen, please take a seat. You can take the seat of honor. Then I won't refuse. Jiang Wen laughed and sat on the seat of honor. After Jiang Wen sat down, the dishes were served like flowing water. They started chatting, but since Li Biaohan had Zhuang Niadeo and Right Coiling Tiger with him, Jiang Wen didn't talk too much about the Firewolves. After all, there were some things he couldn't let them know. After 3 rounds of drinking, Li Biaohan received a phone call. He looked at the caller ID and made an embarrassed gesture to Jiang Wen, our Firewolves. With that, he picked up the phone. Hello, I'm Li Biaohan. Biaohan bro, Lotzi and I were at the antique market yesterday, and we ran into 2 people that looked like noble house disciples. They should be practitioners, but we don't know which house they're from. I've asked around with Lotzi, but we didn't get any information. That's why I'm calling you? It was one of Li Biaohan's lackeys, AOZ. He was one of the 2 gangsters that stopped Lin Yi and Lu Jinghan at the antique market. Did you offend them? As soon as Li Biaohan heard this, he knew that AOZ and La Zi had offended the 2 cultivators who were suspected to be from aristocratic families. After their investigation was fruitless, they came to him for help. It's not really offended, it's like this. And so, AOZ explained the situation to Li Biaohan in detail. I see. If that's the case, send me the pictures of the 2 of them. But according to what you said, I don't think they'll bother you anymore. You don't have to be afraid. Li Biaohan comforted them. The antique market was under the protection of Li Biaohan's men, and it was also one of Li Biaohan's usual income. Since it was the stall owner's request, AOZ and Lotzi couldn't say that they did anything wrong. It was just that they didn't find out where the two people came from, and they were afraid, so they called him for help. Okay Biaohan bro, I'll send it to you now, Aoz said quickly. After hanging up, Li Biaohan explained to Jiang Wen, our Fire Wolf gang is protecting an antique market, and two of our lackeys offended two people who seem to be from noble houses. They should be practitioners. They didn't find out where they came from and they're afraid that they'll take revenge, so they called me for help. With that, Li Biaohan told Jiang Wen about what happened. Your two lackeys are quite careful, but it's settled, and the stall owner even gave them 2 cauldrons. It should be fine now, Jiang Wen said. Cauldrons? You coiling tiger paused. There weren't many alchemists and these two were practitioners. They went to buy cauldrons. Were they alchemists too? But which alchemist didn't have their own cauldrons? Why would they go to a stall to buy a fake one? Shaking his head, Yu Coiling Tiger said, it's probably 2 noble houses who want to study alchemy for fun. Even the lowest level alchemist wouldn't go to a place like that to buy a cauldron. Ah yeah, I forgot that Lil Bro Yu is an expert in this field. Li Biaohan laughed and nodded. As he spoke, his phone rang twice. Evidently he received a text message. Li Biaohan opened the message and with one look, he knew who one of the people was. Damn, isn't this Lin Yi? Li Biaohan pointed at the phone screen. Lin Yi? Zhang Niato didn't think much of it, but Yu Coiling Tiger heard this name and immediately went over. He looked at Li Biaohan's phone screen and immediately recognized the 2 people. These 2 are our classmates. One is Lin Yi and the other is Han Jingjing. They seem to be quite close. Chapter 1997. Mysterious Phone Call, Part 1. As he spoke, Jiang Wen walked over and glanced at Li Biaohan's phone. His face changed and hatred flashed across his face. Lin Yi? What? You know this Lin Yi Browen? Li Biaohan paused. This kid's always going against me, even stealing my woman. Jiang Wen humphed coldly, not hiding anything, but this kid's a bit weird. You guys shouldn't mess with him before you have absolute confidence. I don't have any confidence either, that's true. Right Coiling Tiger nodded and said, this young master can't wait to kill him, but this guy can actually kill 3 Earth stage in one move. I don't dare to fight him head on. I heard that he's a refiner too. That's not right. Why would he buy such a trashy cauldron if he's a refiner? Right Coiling Tiger didn't understand why Lin Yi and Han Jingjing would go to the antique market. Even the lowest level refiner wouldn't go there to buy cauldrons, would they? Usually those who went there were beginners and newbies who didn't know alchemy before. They bought them for research, but who would use trash cauldrons like that? Right Coiling Tiger was suspicious. What was this Lin Yi doing? Buying trash like that? Who knows? That Lin Yi has too many weird things going on. Jiang Wen frowned. Forget it, let's not talk about him. Today's a happy day, it'll ruin the mood. Yes, since these 2 are Lin Yi and Right Coiling Tiger's classmates, they probably won't take revenge on our lackeys. They don't have time for that. Li Biaohan nodded and texted his lackeys back, telling them that everything was fine. Then he started eating and drinking with Jiang Wen and the others. Ancient House Feng Tian, whose face was dark to the point of being scary. The woman sitting in front of him, on the other hand, had a gloating expression on her face. Feng Qianhu had already received the news that Feng Erbing's team had been annihilated. He never would have thought that an Earth-class early-phase master would be able to kill a middle-phase master, and then level up after killing a middle-phase master. What kind of logic was this? Could it be that his Earth rank was Earth rank and others' Earth rank was not? Or was it that his Earth stage was more powerful than others? Already equivalent to a Heaven rank? Feng Qianhu couldn't figure it out. I say, Tianhu, is your information wrong? You sent my mystic late-phase peak master to die, and your own Earth-class mid-phase master died as well. Why does that little bastard have so many masters by his side? The lady said sarcastically. She wasn't as angry about Sanlei's death anymore. Sister-in-law, this person wasn't sent by second brother. He's Su Shirhan's friend? Feng Qianhu's heart was bleeding. He spent so much effort to train his trusted aides, an Earth-class mid-phase master Feng Erbing and a Mystic-class late-phase peak master Feng Sanku, but they died just like that. Wasn't it too unworthy? As expected, impulsiveness was the devil. Originally, he only wanted to borrow his sister-in-law's hand to kill Su Shirhan and disgust Feng Tianlin a little. He wanted him to know the pain of losing his own flesh and blood, but he didn't think that his sister-in-law's subordinate Feng Sanlei would be defeated. Feng Qinhu panicked and sent his Earth-class mid-phase master Feng Er Bing. He thought that it would be easy for an Earth-class mid-phase master to go to the common world and kill someone. But now he didn't kill the person and nothing happened to the other party, but his own people were all dead. This feeling made him want to puke blood. Feng Qinhu was depressed to death. There was no place for him to reason with. He didn't dare to tell the people within the Feng family, and he didn't dare to spread the news. If his father knew that he was dealing with his second brother's daughter, then he wouldn't have a good ending. Therefore, Feng Qinhu had no choice but to suffer in silence. I didn't expect that little girl to be so good at seducing people. She's as flirtatious as her mother. She actually got an even more powerful master. The lady said hatefully. Yes, second sister-in-law, let's not talk about this for now. If this gets out, not only will we lose face, we won't be able to explain it to our father. Feng Qinhu reminded. He was afraid that his brainless sister-in-law would spill the news. That would be big trouble. Don't worry, I don't want to fight with your second brother, the lady said. We'll let that little bastard be arrogant for a while. When your second brother becomes the head of the family, I'll be the wife of the head of the family. At that time, it'll be easy to mobilize a few people to deal with that little bastard. Huh? Feng Qinhu froze. He didn't expect his sister-in-law to be so brainless. Couldn't she see that his intentions were known to everyone? Didn't she know that he wanted to fight for the head of the family? What's wrong? The lady froze when she saw Feng Qinhu's weird expression. It's nothing, second sister-in-law. Go back and rest. I'll go see how Nidian is doing. Feng Qinhu didn't want to talk to his sister-in-law anymore. He turned around and walked to Nitian's room. In the room opposite Chengyi's in East Ocean Industry University's Shuesheng Hotel, Zhang Duopan was drinking with Fan Ganha. Chengyi was supposed to go shopping tonight, but she brought Lin Yi instead of him. Zhang Duopan felt that Lin Yi was his nemesis. His phone rang. Zhang Duopan took out his phone and looked at the caller ID. He froze. It was a hidden number. He couldn't see the caller ID, so he didn't know who it was. Usually, Zhang Duopan would just hang up when he got calls like this. Most of them were scams like winning a prize and he didn't want to waste time with them. But after drinking he was still pissed. He wanted to find someone to mess with. Since there was a scammer at his doorstep, he wouldn't hold back. Hello? Who are you looking for? Zhang Duopan picked up the phone. Zhang Duopan, right? The voice of a duck came from the other side. He couldn't tell if it was a man or a woman. It was as if the voice was changed through a voice changer. It made people feel uncomfortable. Who are you? Zhang Duopan frowned. He didn't expect the person to know his name. Don't care who I am. I'm here to give you good news. Don't worry about who I am. Fastest text update, book Ocean Pavilion, no ads, the voice said. Good news? Who are you? If there's nothing else, I'm hanging up. Zhang Duopan was confused. The person seemed to be a scammer. Hey, if you don't want to get first place in the freshman party, then hang up. Pretend I didn't say anything. The person laughed coldly. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.